Welcome to Grog Talk. I'm James.
I'm Dan.
And if you notice, there's yet again another little figure in our lower screen here. And Dan, why don't you introduce our special guest?
Absolutely. So today we're very excited to have as a special guest Daniel Collerton, the author of the well-known and beloved Irilian City and Rising of the Dark scenario from White Dwarf back in the 1980s. And so we're going to have a lot of questions for him about the city.
More than he thought.
Yes, and more than he thought. I've done my research. I know more about your D&D play probably than you do at this point.
Well,
quite possibly.
So welcome, Daniel. And by the way, where are we at today?
Well, we're going to start at the Griffin Inn in Irilian.
In Irilian, yes.
And we're going to hang out with Timothy Sage a little bit.
Yes.
And I think we're going to try to head over to the Affadafork.
Affadafork?
Daniel, can you help?
Affadafork.
Affadafork.
That's like a fork almost. That's interesting.
Right, because I hear they have happy hour.
A 2 for 1.
2 for 1. You bring in one orc head and you get 2 beers.
That's awesome.
So
that's my kind of place.
So in between the Griffin Inn and Affadafork, we're going to have to go out and find some orc heads.
That's right. That's right. Well,
that could be our random monster.
That could be our. Well, we haven't done orc as our random monster. That would be good. So Daniel, thank you for joining us. As we were talking before the show, there's a lot of not only nostalgia, but an appreciation for a lot of the work that was done, not only here in the States, but in the UK, particularly White Dwarf and your contribution. So maybe just real quick, you could tell us how you got in the hobby back in the day, and then we'll start from there.
And can I actually hijack this for a quick second? Because I don't know, because he may need to have his memory refreshed. I am aware that in August or September of 1980, in White Dwarf number 20, there's announced a Fiend Factory competition. Are you familiar with this?
I am, yeah.
Was that the starting point? That's the first evidence I have of you appearing at he's going to win. So there's a little competition.
Okay.
You got a name. So the Flyman, the North Fly, the Fly Mage, the Sand Fly, and the Fly Guard. And all you do is you have these pictures of these monsters and the names. And the competition is to create the monsters, describe them, flesh them out,
right?
And you could take it from there, because I assume you see this article. Yeah, you saw this and you responded.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a great pleasure. So the Flymen. When was that? That was 1980, did you say?
Yeah, 1980. It was the August-September 1980 issue.
So I'd been playing D&D for about 3 years by then, and reading White Dwarf and being really quite impressed by it. And I'd always liked writing. I'd always enjoyed writing stories. And I also found the technicalities, I think, of D&D very intriguing, very engrossing. So the idea of being able to write a story in a technical system was very attractive. So I wrote a series of descriptions of the Flymen, the different character classes and their roles, and at the same time designed a scenario, which they hadn't asked for. But I liked writing stories, so I wrote it, sent it in, and hoped I might get an honourable mention. So I was really quite surprised when they said I'd won, and then published it, and also published the scenario, The Hive of the Hrill, which I'd also written to go alongside it, and that kind of was that's the one. And that was really the beginning of my kind of publishing career, such as it was.
Which version?
Oh, so this is, in White Dwarf number 23,
okay,
the Flymen and the Hive of the Hurl appear, and the adventure and the monsters was not only did it win the competition, his monsters, and not only did they publish the adventure, which is, Dino's already pointed out, they didn't even ask for the adventure, and they went ahead and published it. It then makes it into the Best of White Dwarf Scenarios number 2.
Yeah,
so that's how highly they thought of the adventure.
Well, and the only reason we have to explain things because not only do our live live cast here on YouTube, but we also do a podcast. So if we show things to you and we say, yeah, people don't who are listening in the car or on the subway wouldn't know that. So don't mind me if I interject because people. The tube, yes, that's right. Yes, over our friends in the UK.
So maybe Dan, you could, because I sort of hijacked your chronology. Could you talk a little bit about how you discovered D&D? You said you've been playing for about 3 years, so it sounds like around roughly 1977 or so you got into it. Maybe you could talk a little bit about how you discovered the game.
I discovered in the sixth form study room, so that's about high school, end of high school, I think, in America. And previously I've been a wargamer, so kind of classic wargaming with small figures moving around or tanks or similar. And then in the corner of the study room, there was one of the cool kids in the year above me with a large sheet of graph paper drawing stuff. So I said, well, what are you doing? And he said, oh, it's this new game come over from the States called Dungeons and Dragons. And that was the original little box set with the 4 books in the box. So I thought, oh, this looks interesting. Had a look, ordered a copy, which I think took about 3 weeks to arrive. And started playing it with the members of the wargaming group at school. I was always the dungeon master, and we just kind of gradually developed stories, developed the characters, mainly piggybacking on scenarios that other people had devised. And then Advanced Dungeons and Dragons came along. I used to have to bicycle to a shop 20 miles away to buy a copy.
That's a long bicycle ride.
In those days, pre-internet, pre-Amazon. And then you get the new volume and you'd comb through it. You'd order fanzines from the States, which would take a month to arrive and were photocopied articles that people had sent in and then were stapled together, posted over. So it was a little cottage industry, I think, certainly in the UK.
And it's clear from your Irilian adventure, you can tell the influence that White Dwarf had on you. So, over here in the States, White Dwarf was, I think, sometimes available, but I think most of us, most of us didn't really pay that much attention to it. We read Dragon magazine, and I'd like, maybe you could tell us a little bit about how it was over there. Was White Dwarf basically the magazine, and then Dragon magazine was something you didn't see that often? You could get Dragon magazine. I subscribed for a bit. But White Dwarf was certainly the magazine in the UK. Before that, there were a couple of fanzines, but nothing professional. Now, Games Workshop, who were the publishers, they had started their first shop, which was one of the very first, if not the very first, role-playing games shop in the UK. And they had a fanzine which they published on the back of that quite regularly. And then they established White Dwarf, and that really became the go-to magazine for people. So if you wanted to read about Dungeons and Dragons or other role-playing games, certainly if you wanted to write, that tended to be where you went to. A few years later, there was a TSR UK magazine established, but that never really took root in the way that White Dwarf did at the time. Is Imagine magazine you're talking about?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Right, so, and I should let you know, we need to let Daniel know, because Daniel says he has a stash of stuff in the attic, I think. Is that correct?
That's right.
Some of this stuff you need to know.
Are you going to publish his address now? This is more than he bargained for. He didn't want people to hunt him down for old copies of stuff like that.
It's a trick.
Yeah,
it's a trap.
This is why I said I should have blocked your email.
You should have, because we need to let you know now with the so-called, I don't know if you're familiar with this old school revival where people like James and myself, who really hadn't played for close to 30 years,
right?
So many of us are now getting back into it. A lot of the stuff that you may have, I need to alert you, might be quite valuable. So, I mean, you're talking about, the old Games Workshop. I don't know if you're talking about like the Allen Weasel and things like that. A lot of these could be, I know you've done a review of Starstone. A lot of these things are now quite valuable. So I just feel we should alert him that he might have a treasure trove in his attic.
Just in case someone reaches out to you like us and says, hey, let me take all that old stuff out of your attic for you. Don't...
Wait, that's
check
us.
eBay.
Well, he just gave him our line. Wait, why did I tell him that?
That's right.
I'll help you move.
That's right.
We'll help you clean out.
Yeah, you don't even have to pay us. Just give us what's
we'll
in
clean
these
out your
boxes.
attic.
That's
we'll
right.
fly to. We're in the neighborhood.
That's
Aren't we in Newcastle?
Well, our geography has been proven to be completely horrible.
Right. We may just find ourselves. I think we're there next month.
It's a day trip. So.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I guess just to add a little colour to it, we actually have bats in our attic. Who nest in the attic and haven't been in there for about 20 years.
Oh.
So you might get authentic bat-encrusted
guano.
Original.
Guano. Well,
Well, it's all about selling it from Daniel Collerton's attic.
Right.
Official bat guano.
Official bat, it could increase the value.
That's a spell component.
Giant bats.
Yeah, it's all there. So I'm sure someone would pay extra for it. People, rock stars wipe their face with the towel and the people pay $50.
Yeah, that's charming.
Yeah, it's charming.
Guano-laden
It's
magazines.
old school, literally.
Now, Dana, what I've got next from you is, I think in June or July of 1982, in White Dwarf number 31, you have a mini adventures published, right? In Search of a Fool.
Do you recall that?
Yeah.
Your name is in fact. Your name is in fact is on there, right, Daniel Collerton? And you had. You created, what is it? And I'm going to mispronounce this. One of the members of my group got it right, but it's the Deowine. It's not Sid. It's Sidhe. But I think you
Dynasty.
And so he published his adventure, and I believe the Dynasty were based upon some sort of Irish, Gaelic, sort of mythological.
Yeah. So they're the Irish fairies, but not fairies in the small and charming sense, but an altogether older and darker and magicler race who live in the earth of Ireland, keep themselves to themselves, but occasionally visit mortal people, generally to no good end for the mortals.
Now, I have a bone to pick with Daniel with these, the date on Sit.
So we're ending. Is this what's...
This is it, right?
Okay.
Because he gave them psionics, which forced me to learn about psionics.
Oh, I see.
I knew nothing about psionics. I'd never played with psionics, but they had them. And that's why I was asking you, I think, about with the Mind Blast or whatever.
I got
now
you.
I was asking you about that. Psionics, I had to learn about those. And so at this time, and what I thought was interesting is I had just sort of assumed that you had some sort of established role at White Dwarf because you were so prolific with the amount of things that were being published by you. But it sounds like you were a fan. You submitted a lot of stuff.
Yeah, very much. And so are most of the other writers. People wrote for love, really, because they didn't pay you anything, really. A very, very small amount. But people like Phil Masters and Marcus Rowland and the other regular writers just wrote. I think there were no permanent full-time members of staff. Most of the people like Ian Livingstone had other roles at Games Workshop. So it was something that people were pretty much doing in their spare time. All of the artwork was commissioned in. I don't think they had any in-house illustrators at that point. So it was I suppose in some ways a collective endeavor of people who were interested rather than a purely commercial one. I think it transformed itself later and became extremely commercial and really just an advertising forum for Games Workshop and their approaches. But in the early and middle years, it was very much people just sharing an interest and doing it because they enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
And so how far were you in Newcastle at the time? And
Yes, yeah,
so
yeah. So I was in Newcastle.
And so as James has mentioned, we're geographically challenged. So Games Workshop, I assume, was based out of London, right? Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So how far were you? So were you getting to London? Did you ever get to meet any of these people back in the day?
Not back in the day. It was 250 miles.
Well,
So
you had a bike.
That's right. You had a bike. You went 20.
you on the way to the shop. You just keep going.
Just
right?
keep going. Get there in 4 or 5 days.
And people rarely spoke on the telephone then, because you paid for each individual call. So
Right.
most things are just done by letter, handwritten letter.
Okay.
Or eventually I kind of got a typewriter, so typewritten letters, but that was it. I did move down to London probably about 1982, so around about the time, in fact, just after I'd written Irilian, and I went round to the production offices just to meet people and kind of have a look at the plans and such like. And it turned out to be a corner of a warehouse with about 3 desks.
The emperor has no clothes.
You're right. Never meet your heroes.
That's right. So it's like, we all have this vision.
The people were very nice,
Sure.
but it was obviously kind of not a professional publishing outfit, which was publishing a lot of different titles.
Right.
It was people who did it in the corner of their warehouse for pleasure.
Right.
But then you found out why you weren't being paid.
That's right. That's right. They weren't spending it on the building. And
That's right. You weren't upset.
That's right.
The Games Workshop pool or something.
That's right. The masseuse and everything. That's why I'm not getting paid.
In a
Exactly.
bathing suit in the pool. So the next thing I've got from you. Yeah, sorry. This is.
Okay, I hope I can remember this one.
This is your life.
This is your D&D life.
This is your life. I mean, I didn't realize we were going here. This is amazing. Good job, Dan.
Thank you. No, I love this one because then this is in White Dwarf number 34, which is most well known for Paul Vernon's Troubles at Ember Trees. But hidden away in the Arcane Armory is the Demon's Knife, a weapon by Daniel Collerton. And I love the Demon's Knife. I'll tell you, if you don't remember, you remember the Demon's Knife?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Oh, how can you forget this one?
Somebody's wiped my mind. I must have encountered a beholder or something.
Well, this one makes an appearance in Irilian. That's how I know about it. And when you stick it into the victim, it shoots blood out of the hilt. So there's just like, as best I can tell, there's a fountain of blood.
It's like a sieve that just shoots it out of there.
Exactly.
So what's your mental state in 1982 that you're designing weapons that leach blood out of you? Yes, that's right.
That we approve.
That's right. We're fine with it. We're just curious. I don't know. And again, we won't. When you corresponded with us via email as opposed to letter, which would have taken 9 months for us to get this set up. Your professional background is, in psychology, apparently. So, if you were to examine yourself now when you design these weapons, what would you say about yourself now? Would you be concerned about your well-being that you're designing weapons that are
It's a good outlet.
Oh, I see.
If you had been your son,
that's right. That's
and
right.
you'd found the Demon's Knife written up in the guy's room. Well, it could be worse.
Plunging into various victims.
It's not drugs. Right. It's not pornography.
Homicidal maniac.
It's a good point though, because I think there is always a tension within all role-playing games between the reality of what you're doing and the enjoyment you get from a game. So I think virtually everybody who would play would never, ever stick a knife into somebody which would then exsanguinate them.
Yeah.
And I think that is part of the attraction for many people, is that you can play a role which isn't yourself. You can do things which you would be horrified, traumatized by if it ever happened in real life. And then just go back to your normal life. So I think that is one of the great attractions for people.
Oh, yeah. I remember we were running, and I ran Citadel by the Sea, and with this character, it fell down the steps and was mangled and laying there. And I'm describing this, and then immediately everyone's like, all right, loot the
Take his
body, do
stuff.
this. Yeah, when somebody dies a horrible death in D&D, the first player's thought is not, this is horrible, it's I loot the body.
That's right. What, didn't he have that ring or something?
Yeah, what did he have? Yeah, it's like when someone's office, when they leave.
Right, when they get fired.
You want their furniture.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
want
bunch
their chair.
Bunch of vultures.
It's very similar to that. So just kind of one more segue before you do more It's a Wonderful Life, Daniel Collerton edition. Were you around for the Satanic Panic? Obviously, was that, I vaguely remember that as a thing. And wasn't the same in the UK.
Never a big thing in the UK. It was something that you did read about from the States. I think most people in Britain just didn't know anything whatsoever about D&D. And we don't have that tradition of religion in the UK.
Yeah.
Certainly not at that time. It's a bit more evangelical now. So it never touched the general consciousness.
And what's so fascinating, again, like Dan said, we kind of and actually again a shout out to Dirk the Dice and Grognard Files. He's done a great thing capturing the UK role-playing experience from back in the day. So us who are interlopers who are looking in, it's just been amazing. But he had a similar experience, kind of like they played up until the late 80s and then disappeared for 20, 25 years and got back into it a few years ago when we got older and had more free time, apparently. But now, I don't know if you're aware of this, they're using D&D and role-playing games as therapy for people on the autism spectrum and who have social anxiety. Have you heard about this? Is it something you've heard about or know anything more about that?
I mean, the general approach of using avatars, often computer generated, is fairly well established now.
Oh, okay.
And I guess kind of in a way it's very similar. You're creating an avatar who you can then safely play with, which I guess then goes back to what I was saying earlier. You can have a role, do things which would terrify you or traumatize you in real life. And then for somebody with the social anxiety, that could be going to the shops. But because you're doing it in role, you can learn about it, control it, practice different ways of doing it, do it again when you fail, and eventually succeed. And that then gives you the knowledge, which you can then put into practice elsewhere.
Yeah,
Not quite the knowledge of sticking knives in people, but a similar sort
right.
of principle.
Well, it's baby steps, right?
Right.
You crawl, walk, run. You talk to the shopkeeper, and then you stick them, shiv them.
That's wrong.
Oh, that's not good. Okay.
No, that's wrong.
Oh, I was going to step
Your
7.
alignment's lawful good.
Yes.
Let's learn how to be lawful good.
Well, if we have a lot of time, we can ask him about alignment in psychology. I'm sure that will be a long conversation.
Yeah, I feel quite I'm pretty confident I'm lawful neutral in real life.
With slightly good tendencies.
Well, but we all think we have good tendencies.
Yeah, I think
I'm
so.
not sure I actually do.
That's true.
I think I've even.
Well, we'll be the judge of that.
So I'd like to ask you, continuing, it's your life. So I know in 1983, April of 1983, in White Dwarf number 40, you review Starstone. And the reason why I think this is interesting is because I wanted to ask you, because we're getting up to the next big event, of course, is going to be Irilian, which is the main event for us. I'd like to get what I've noticed. I've been getting into British gaming, and I'm a big fan. I have Starstone now. Please don't ask me how. Don't judge me. Don't ask how much I paid for Starstone.
You said it was.
We're moving on.
Slightly expensive.
We're moving on. So you'd reviewed Starstone. You thought very well of it. You gave it very high marks. I know that in Irilian you make various references to Paul Vernon's Town Planner series. So as you were writing Irilian, how much were you influenced by Paul Vernon's articles in White Dwarf and, for example, Starstone? These Troubles at Ember Trees by Paul Vernon. The sense I get, these milieus are very detailed. You don't just have a line about, this is Sam the Baker, these are his stats. It gives you a lot of information about the characters, different relationships. How much were you influenced by that when you wrote Irilian?
A lot, I think. As I said at the beginning, part of the thing which attracted me was the systematic nature and the detail, the way you could take a story arc, but then have very precise descriptions of articles within it or actions within it. And I always admired that approach, and particularly Paul's work was I think exemplary, of that style. So it was a big influence in the way I would kind of write.
And I think we see that continued. I've run a campaign. It didn't last very long because there was a total party kill, but the Pellinor campaign setting, which came later, I think in Imagine magazine, was very similar. And that, of course, is a British publication. It's very similar in that, you needed to know Sam is having an affair with Mary over here, and it really brings it all to life.
Well, I think that kind of story in a setting was kind of quite influential, that way of doing it. So you might have a story, but you'd have that within a much wider setting, which would then allow you to branch off on your own once you'd finished.
Right.
So Irilian is very linear, reading it back. You are very pushed,
but
in one direction.
Okay, so all right, so let's talk about that now, because so we're getting to Irilian now, and let me tell you how I came to discover Irilian, and thank goodness for the internet age now, because otherwise I never would have known about it. So when I got back into the game, I really wanted to discover and read adventures that I had never been exposed to. Not the ones that I had read. I was starting to discover there was so much more out there than just the famous TSR modules. Right. So I did internet research on non-TSR adventures to run, and not surprisingly, Irilian came up time and time again, which is how I discovered it. And just some of the things that you will find if you Google Irilian, White Dwarf, you'll find references like tour de force, remains one of the most popular features from the halcyon days of White Dwarf, my favorite old school module ever. And these are all different. It's not one person. These are all different people.
This is not Daniel.
I have a large family.
That's right.
Yes,
I was going to say,
or me.
DC.
Dan.
Dan.
I wrote this list. This is my description.
Or
I put it on the internet.
Right.
Yeah, so this is what you'll find on the internet.
He has his pseudonyms he goes out there. No, that's
right. Very cinematic, epic. The best serialized city setting before the 3E adventure pass. I don't even know what 3E is. Apparently there's a 3rd edition of D&D. I don't know what they're talking about.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is. A gamer's jewel. The best of the British contributions to AD&D. Should have been a standalone module. First encountered Irilian as the centerpiece of a best scenarios publications in White Dwarf. Irilian easily dwarfed the rest of the publication in both scope and quality. The storyline has some grim and tragic elements that seem to have been more popular with British gamers in the early days. Someone else writes, the adventure itself is very good. The city itself is absolutely brilliant. A brilliant written, plot-heavy adventure. Clever use of language and names makes the town seem more real, while the adventure itself has a great feeling of impending doom. So just to give you some, how people feel about your adventure. Maybe you said it's linear. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because, to me, the linear aspect makes complete sense. Because maybe you could describe why it was, because there's a reason it's linear, and as we might say, a bit railroady. There was a reason for that, though, correct?
Yeah, so partially because if you're going to tell a story, it has to be fairly linear. You need a beginning, a middle, and an end. But then for the purposes of publication, because of the size, it had to be broken down into 6 episodes. And each episode had to remain within a certain area, geographical area. So in order to do that, you kind of had to keep people within an area and occupy them within that area. So in a sense, that then gives you 6 chapters. So you have the starting chapters, so the journey. You have the middle chapters, which are the dead ends, the false clues, the going astray. And then you have the final chapters of the crisis and the resolution.
Right.
I think so. That's kind of the idea. Looking back at the time, I just wrote it.
So
in a way which now, to me,
this was a monthly publication, right? Back in the day,
it was.
So you had to wait 6 months to have the whole story.
Yeah.
People were patient back then. I don't remember being that patient.
It was a more patient time.
Yeah, it was a more patient time.
And so here it is. It first appears in White Dwarf number 42, which is which is going to be in June of 1983. And thank God for eBay. And then, because I was able to get all of these copies to 43, 44, 45, 46, and 47, the final one in November 1983. And what I liked about it with the linear didn't bother me at all. And I can tell you that when I recently ran my group through The Rising of the Dark, the linear caused no problems at all. What was great about it is the party got it. Maybe because we're older, they got that it was supposed to be linear, because what you were doing, of course, is you're getting the characters are being introduced to a different portion of the city of Irilian. It seemed to me like it was primarily designed. The Rising of the Dark didn't seem to me to be the main event. The city was the main event to be able to use as a campaign, right? And the adventure was just sort of it almost seems like you just sort of wrote the adventure as a way to introduce the characters. Each little mini episode was, you're going to be introduced to the Northwest Quadrant and the Northeast Quadrant. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, very much. So I think the story of battling against overwhelming odds and fighting through darkness and light, that type of story had always attracted me. And so it was how to use that to illustrate the city itself and the different components of the city. I think the idea came when I just thought Dark Rise. That was kind of the beginning of the story. And from that phrase, then that kind of set me off thinking, well, what would Dark Rise be? How would it impact on people? How would you deal with it? And so that's kind of how I worked it out, mainly with one of my fellow players, a guy called Dominic McAteer. So we worked out the story over probably about 6 months or so. And kind of I draw a part of the city out with pen and paper in those days, on graph paper, populated with some key characters, and then work out how they would fit into the story. So the story very much did develop around it, which is why you do get a few false ends. A few
I think they're great. I love the false ends. We're gonna have to talk about the scepter at some point, right? The phony scepter, which is wonderful.
So did you have it all written, and then when you submitted it, the White Dwarf said, "Oh, we can't do this all in one thing. You have to break it up," or did you know it was going to be serialized? Well, can you go through the process of submitting this big work?
Yeah, and were you writing this just on your own without even necessarily thinking about, I'm going to submit this to White Dwarf? Or were you doing?
No, so kind of I'd, as you said, written a bit for them previously. So I said, might you be interested in a city? Because there weren't any good cities around in Dungeons and Dragons anyway at that stage. And there's a lot of good ones in fiction.
Right.
So I said, would you be interested? And they said, yeah. I think they hadn't quite realised how big it was going to be. I don't think I had quite realised how big it was going to be either. But they said, yeah, we need a scenario to go along with it. It's a bit like The Flyman and the Hive of the Thrill. It's the setting and the story. And that very much went along with previous things that they'd published and their kind of style. And then I just wrote it and sent it in. There wasn't any real editorial control. They didn't interfere. They didn't grumble. They just kind of did it.
Did they?
It was very, far easier than academic publishing, I can tell you.
Yeah. So was it? Did you send the whole thing completed, and then they said, "Oh my gosh, This is so much larger than we'd expected. We're going to have to break this up into 6. Were they surprised by the length of it?
I think they always knew it was going to be a part work.
Yeah.
By how many parts? I don't think they knew. I didn't know either, in fairness. So yeah, I wrote it all. I kind of wrote it over a summer, the vast bulk of it anyway, while I was at university, because they had long summer breaks. So that's when the bulk of it got written. Sent it down, and a few weeks later, just got a letter saying, okay.
A few weeks later.
It was, yeah. That's the life I want, you know?
So you started writing it, and then they told you it was okay? Or did they tell you it was okay?
Yeah.
But it sounded like they knew you. You basically figured whatever you sent in, they knew you were trustworthy, they were going to publish it probably.
They would look at it.
Yeah, all right. All right.
If it'd been rubbish, they wouldn't have published it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I like to think about that.
So so just a good for when you sent it in, it was done. It wasn't you, or were you writing some of the end of it while they were still coming out?
No, it was all done.
Oh.
It was all done. It all went off in one big thick envelope.
You're a dream for a publisher, right? They don't have to wait on the next installment. Where is that? It ends
He's not like the Game of Thrones guy that who's written only some of the books and still has other ones to write.
Well, I've noticed from back in the day, a lot of these people they promise. Don't. This is a lesson. Don't ever promise anything subsequent. Like Starstone, Paul Vernon said, I think he said, there'll be more, and then of course there'll be another adventure, and then I think it doesn't come.
Well, there was going to be an Irilian 2.
Oh, really?
But there never was.
There still can be.
There still can be. Climb up the stairs, dust off the bat encrusted stuff. And
imagine, and be serious about it. If you do end up going through the stuff in the attic, if you have things like the original sketches of Irilian, that stuff really would be of great interest to so many people. And so I really encourage you that if don't assume that that's just junk that no one cares about. There's a lot of people who would love to see stuff like that. Even if you just scan it and post it online or something, they'd love to see it.
Okay. I'll tell my wife.
Put her on the job. Oh, he said we're going to be in the neighborhood, aren't we?
That's right. We're moving there.
So White Dwarf number 42 is the first one. And I want to ask you about the cover. This cover is considered one of the great covers for White Dwarf, right?
It's very good.
Gary Chalk does it, right? And so I wanted to ask you about it. It's the only cover, I believe, that is Irilian. The other ones are different covers. People love this cover. I wanted to get your sense. Do you feel like Gary Chalk captured the concept of Irilian as you intended?
Yes, brilliantly. I tried to buy it, or buy the original artwork.
Oh.
In fact, I said, I'll give it my fee. So if I can have the original artwork. But firstly, my fee wouldn't cover it. But secondly, one of the production staff had already bought it.
Oh.
As soon as it came in, I think somebody said, "Oh, I'll have that."
Back in the day. Back in the day, that's too bad, because what I think would be great still, and my understanding is I didn't know a lot about the illustrator, but he's apparently well known, is that it would be wonderful to have sort of a bird's eye view of the city itself. That's the one thing that I think would just be awesome to have. Yeah. So, all right, so maybe we could ask you then a little bit about the adventure itself. So it is very cinematic. I mean, someone wrote that, and I think that's correct. And I can tell you that when I ran the adventure, as I noted, the sort of linear aspect of it was no problem at all. I think the players actually enjoyed it. I mean, it's funny because they sort of knew at a certain point when someone would say, oh, well, you got to go over here to the monastery, they'd be like, what a shock. It's right across the street. They sort of, they got it, and that didn't bother them at all. I mean, I think they thought it was fun. It is very cinematic. It has a very epic ending if the players, do it correctly. And I think that's what people like about it is the atmosphere, right? You have an atmosphere of sort of impending doom, correct?
Yeah, sure. I was very influenced by the film The Fog, the John Carpenter film. I don't know if you've ever seen it. but it's basically about a small village, and the fog comes in, and inside the fog are monsters,
Oh, okay. That was
drowned sailors. Um, he's the guy who did Halloween
yeah.
as well.
Oh, the
And the
fog,
sort
the
of,
John
fog,
Carpenter,
yes,
The
the fog,
Fog,
yes,
yeah.
in the seaside town. Yes, now, yeah, that's I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yep, yep.
yeah. And so that was a big influence on the atmosphere that I was trying to convey. Um, just kind of darkness with nasty things inside it. Um, the Silmarillion had been out a few years earlier, and the fall of Numenor and the wave overcoming the land. So the idea of a wave destroying everything
Yep.
also came into it. And I've always liked happy endings.
So, though in happy, and I think we should warn our audience here. We can do spoilers, right? I mean, this was only published in what 1983. I think you could talk about. You can give spoilers after
that's
30
right.
years,
There's
right?
statute of limitation.
So yeah, stop listening if you don't know the spoilers. So
before we've got some chat. There are people listening to this. It's not just us three.
It's not just about me.
No, it's not just about you.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I asked some of our chat folks, so want to get through some questions. Some of them have answered. You haven't touched this stuff in decades. Is that a fair statement? You're not playing. You haven't.
Yeah.
When did you stop playing? If roughly.
Probably after Irilian. I think Irilian was my sponsor.
That was it. You were
right now. No.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's your life. The last evidence I have of you in D&D is in April 1984 in White Dwarf number 52. You write an article out of the blue. Sound familiar?
No.
Suggested clerical spells you were using in your Irilian campaign. You were using clerical. You required clerics. The spells they could have available were based upon the deity they worshipped. It wasn't just any spell, and you developed some new spells too. And then so 1984, I think, is the last time I've got record of you.
Yes.
Before you fell on, you went off the D&D grid.
Fell off the map.
Yeah.
So you haven't played since the mid '80s, basically.
No. I played. I'd moved down to London, and so I'd left the people in Newcastle who I used to play with. They'd all gone their separate ways as well.
Gotcha.
And generally, it was starting to fall out of favour at that point. And electronic games are starting to take over, and particularly in the UK, Warhammer was becoming the kind of go-to game, with Games Workshop pushing that very hard. And so the publications on D&D within White Dwarf start to drop away. And I'd kind of started a new job, and time was kind of fairly short.
Right.
So there was a kind of series of different things. I did play some Baldur's Gate when that was first out, the computer based version of D&D. But that was it for dungeon mastering.
Okay. And so Menyon, one of our folks, he really wanted to run it, but he was always had a challenge with the Middle English. He's a British person. I don't know where he's from, and he asked, "Where are you originally from?" You know, he's trying to pinpoint your accent. Where in
Okay. So I'm a Geordie, which is somebody who's born on Tyneside. So I was born. This is a bit minute detail for those of you who aren't in England. I was born in a place called Wallsend. It's called Wallsend because it's the end of the Roman wall, which going back to Game of Thrones is what the wall is based upon.
Okay, interesting.
So I was born in Wallsend. I lived most of my life in Newcastle. Went away to university, then went down to London, and then came back to the northeast I've been back here for 30 years.
Yeah, so it's right up there.
And if I could follow up on Menion's
Sure.
question on the topic, because that is something that makes it really very interesting. It does, I think, scare away some people from running it. I think it was fun to use the language, but we know this. So Daniel developed basically a lot of, almost its own language, sort of. It's got a lot of specific terms in here. It actually has a glossary, so that so you can figure out what the translation of what the words are. Could you tell us a little bit about your desire to create that Irilian language, and what is it based on? Because I've heard some people say they think there's some Dutch in there. It seems to me like Gaelic would maybe be I don't know. So maybe you could talk about it.
So it's kind of Old Middle English that is based upon, and the influence was Tolkien, of course. I always quite liked the bit at the end of the Lord of the Rings where all the appendices are, with all the different languages. One of the things I've never liked in fantasy is modern English. I think it doesn't fit with the setting, and so I like something which would be appropriate into the setting as I visualize it, and language is a very important part of that. So if you're not looking at it or imagining it, then you're hearing it. So things like Hefferdorf or the Gryphon, I think just set it aside as something different. And I think it does make people think a little more of what or where they are. So it's not the Griffin, it's not the head of Orc, which could be just down the road. It is the Gryphon, it is the Hefferdorf Orc, and that's not just down the road. So I think that's probably what influenced me. It is what the editor said. In retrospect, the only thing that would have changed is the language, because I think you're right, it does put off some people.
But
you
don't have to use it. I mean,
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, you don't have to use it. I mean, we used it at times, but then I would also say I would say the monastery, whatever. So I came and went, but I don't know why you would exclude it. It's optional.
Well, and I think it's a thing in time. Again, obviously the people you played with were from your area. Some were from your area, and some were not. Yeah. And so it wasn't completely foreign, but yet it provided like you said, a tinge of otherness, which you don't have when you speak your common language. The hard part, of course, is not using it as an impediment. And I think that goes back to the whole style of gaming back then. The more challenging, it was almost like a badge of honor. Oh, this game's complicated enough. Now we'll have to translate for folks to go through it. You have to give them a glossary. Whereas today, there's folks who are like, we got to make this as simple and accessible as possible to all kinds of folks, or we need to make it as quote unquote realistic. And language, of course, my family's Greek, and you translate Greek sayings. There's a saying in Greek, the day laughs at the night's work, which doesn't sound, I mean, you get it, but doesn't have the same, when you say it in the Greek, it sounds good, but you still get it. But so I agree with you having that thing. So, and your comment of where you are is it's causing a whole bunch of comments now there. But let's see what else.
Oh, can I real quick? Did you use the language? Sounds like you used that language when you ran your Irilian campaign with your players. It sounds like you used that language, and if so, were the players fine with it? Did they get into the spirit of it?
They grumbled.
That's life of a DM, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
You have this immersive world. You're trying to really set them apart. I remember one of our DMs back in the day. He would take scrolls and he'd age the parchment and wax them and hand them out. It was a lot of work, and so we at least tried to. We're like, just tell us what scroll did I get? No. You must
the magic.
You must open the scroll. I'm like, okay.
Well, you can be like, so I'd like to go to the head of Orc. And then Daniel's, he's the DM, he's like, they don't, what?
They look at you.
Head of Orc. Huh? Right. They start grumbling.
You're a foreigner. Hey, our dear friend, the Chamberlain Most August Potency from Australia, David, how did you come up with the bribe level idea? What was the thought of that? Do you recall what your that mechanic and why you came up with it? Because it is very interesting.
Yeah, so I think one of the big influences on Irilian was Venice. I was reading quite a lot about Venice at the time.
Okay.
And the idea of a post-imperial city, which was ruled by an oligarchy, and didn't really do anything apart from bicker amongst itself. I thought that was quite an interesting setting, and how you would operationalize that. So I guess again it goes back to the system. So if you're going to do something in D&D, you need a system for it. If you're going to have corruption, you need a system within which to be corrupt.
Right.
So bribe level is where that came in.
It's brilliant. It's really brilliant.
And if I come on the bribe level, so somebody had noted online that they viewed the bribe level as sort of representative of the feel of the city, that it indicated that anyone in Irilian pretty much can be bribed, right? Maybe a couple people can be, but this
pretty much.
And maybe can I describe?
There are a few characters, if you look, who are incorruptible, but not so many.
Which is why you should always give your characters in a one-shot some spending money,
right?
Because they may need bribe money. And if I could I'd like to describe Irilian as Daniel described it when you enter, to give you a feel for this, because a very important thing, I think, is not simply the impending doom, which is wonderful. How often do you say that? But is also the sense of Irilian, the city in decay, right? The city that had once been great and is now in decay. So the walls are a crumbling earth rampart, rising 10 feet from a sluggishly flowing, rubbish-filled moat. There are farmers bringing produce to Irilian and streams of potters carrying night soil out to the field. The street is a good 6 inches deep in mud, animal droppings, and the contents of chamber pots that are emptied from the uppermost stories of houses. The smell is an amalgam of all of the above, plus the odors of unwashed bodies. The streets are narrow, winding, and crowded with carts, animals, beggars, costermongers, and so you really create, right as you enter, the sense I get is the DM is supposed to create this image of a city in decay, correct?
Oh, yeah, it sounds
very much.
Sounds like Queens, where I grew up, but okay. Except
or
for
Queens.
Or Queens, that's
right. That's an American reference. Yeah.
That's right.
But so you really, and one of my players during the game asked somebody, wait, what's happened to this city? He got it, right, that it was a city in decay, but that was important for you, right?
Yeah. And I think faded grandeur is always more attractive than grandeur itself. It's a more complex setting. I suppose one of the other influences was again Tolkien. He's big influence on everything.
Sure.
And Minas Tirith, and the idea of Minas Tirith having fallen from the kind of pinnacle, but then right at the end, rising again. So I think the rise and fall is a good narrative structure.
And that every age is but a shadow of the previous one, and that it restores, but it's not quite the same. There has to be some real rebirth that has to occur in some of it. It seems to be the thing, and yeah, that the illustration, that artwork is so telling, because you can see the grandeur of the architecture, but it's seen better times. So very evocative. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And growing up in the northeast of England, there's a lot of that about. So it's not an area which has done so well over the last few years, particularly at the time I was writing it.
Right.
So a lot of the great buildings of the city were decaying. The stone was green. Bits were falling off. There was scaffolding up, so it was based on partially living in Newcastle, and then of course living beside the Roman wall. That's all ruined. So I guess the sense of empires having fallen and passed away is very British or Northeast British.
Right, and it's right in front of you too. It's a visible thing. It's not like it's stored away in a museum. It's you pass it as part of your daily course. Yeah, interesting.
Well, and what I liked about it was Daniel notes that there's two significant government entities or two significant entities in Irilian: the council and the mob.
Yeah.
So the mob, right? The mob in Irilian plays a significant role. It's you describe it like an entity that acts and reacts, right, and checks the council, correct?
Yeah. So I says that kind of came from French Revolutionary experiences, and then you have the monarchy, the court, and then eventually, when you pass the limit, you have the mob, and then the mob takes over for a period, and then the government reestablishes control. So I think the ebb and flow, the nobility and the common person has always been an interesting dynamic. I've always liked action and reaction, or force and opposition.
And that was the only part. So I ran it in an afternoon. And really, if anyone is thinking of running Rising of the Dark, you really want to set aside enough time to do it. We're older now. People have more responsibilities than we did back in the day. And so I really didn't have time to stretch it out that much. But the one area that I had to skip over was where the mob chases the characters. The characters are fleeing from the mob. And so you've got the dark rising, which is this, like the fog, right? This dark fog rising. It's actually, at some point, comes over the city.
It's evil incarnate, basically. I mean, it's the way he describes it in there. It's all, it doesn't have a physical it manifests through the corruptible people in the city, but it is almost a semi-tangible presence of evil, and then it uses it. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it really does create impending doom because it comes over the walls. You're being closed in, and for people who are not familiar with it, the characters have been given. It's an old Irilian saying, which they have to figure. It's the way to save the city, and they got to figure out what it means. If they do, they're heroes of the city. They're legendary, and if they don't, well, we know how it ends.
That's right. Get some D6 out.
Yeah, and I can let you know, my player characters, they're very experienced players. They're very good. They were successful. So,
good.
Yes, they did make some interesting. I don't know how well you remember it. I know you wrote it, but it's been a long time. They did make some interesting things. They killed the wizard. They're supposed to go to the wizard. And the wizard, oops, they thought the wizard was the baddie, right? So the demon and the devil are attacking the wizard, and they decide to kill the wizard.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, right. And so that was a little bit difficult to get them out of that mess, but they were able to get out of it. But they were successful. So it was an epic ending. And one of my players mentioned that online. He posted in response to the game, so many adventures just sort of end meh. Right. This one ended in an epic way. And I really think if you're going to run, particularly a one-off adventure, to have some sort of climactic end, other than just simply killing the big bad, something really more epic is really nice.
And this is where the flavor of the setting allows that to happen, which, again, you need enough time to. Now, to be fair, you had played for 6 hours, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not like nowadays they do 2-hour sessions and they think, ooh, that's a lot. I mean, you're still getting it may not be like back in the day when we spent, we got up in the morning and played all till we passed out, but it's 6 hours is still a decent chunk of time.
Oh, yeah. And what was great about it, and I should show you this too for our viewers and for you, Daniel, too, is so the map from the last one, I got it laminated.
Move it up a little bit. Back. See, it's got a glare.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
So I had to buy this issue 3 times. The first time I bought it, this was a centerfold, of course, and it was removed because someone took it out. The second one I bought, I just needed the magazine. And then I'm like, I want to laminate it, so I bought a third one to get it laminated. And some of the things I love, if I could just mention some of the things I absolutely loved about the adventure. So I love right at the beginning, and the graveyard. I'm not going to speak Irilian, if that's okay.
That's okay.
Like the Graveyard.
Graveyard.
He tells you how to pronounce these all, so I have no excuse.
You could do. If you did a YouTube video of all the glasses, Daniel on Irilian.
That should be or maybe one of those like you learn languages.
Oh, speak and say. He could do. We could have a little thing, the graveyard, and you just click on it. Yeah, and just click on it. That would be great. That should be part of our new merchandise that we're going to do. That'd be awesome.
So what happened? As the party is entering Irilian, or trying to enter Irilian, the way is shut, so to speak. The gates are closing, and in this graveyard here, you've got this graveyard keeper, what the Shantarman or something? Shantarman is waving at you, but he's wearing a death mask. He's all in black. He's in a graveyard waving you. You can't go into the city. The dark is rising. You got this guy who seems pretty lawful evil,
right?
Or
not a nice guy,
waving you in. What do you do? Well, I had given my players, which were pre-generated characters, certain spells I thought would be useful in a really like suggestion. Well, some of my players aren't stupid. They're like, oh, well, we go up to the guard and I cast suggestion, let us in. So they get in. So they were able to bypass some of these more memorable things. If you could talk a little bit about the Scepter à Lagu, the Scepter of Law, because Scepter à Lagu, I thought that was just wonderful. The players, they just thought it was hilarious. What one of the players said, even before it was discovered, it was a phone. He said, I'm suspicious about this scepter. So, if you could talk a little bit, if you remember, about the scepter, because it sounded to me just you had a lot of fun probably writing, a little twinkle in your eye perhaps when you wrote that part.
Yeah, so trying to think without giving away too many spoilers. So one of the characteristics of fantasy is, or in particularly D&D, is items of great power. Relics and such like, and an awful lot of fantasy stories are dealing with a ring of power or a wand of power or boots of power or whatever, and I think it can get a little bit boring if everything is a massively powerful thing. And I was also influenced by, again, medieval Christianity, because that's where the chanterman comes from, people in chantries who would sing the songs for the dead. And there's a lot of fake relics around in medieval Christendom. So I thought it might be quite nice to have a fake relic in Irilian as well. And the scepter became the fake relic. And so it was, well, how do you get that into the story? Because there was a way of trying to get the monasterium as somewhere that the characters would go to. And so I kind of slightly shoehorned it in by trying to get the book of a way to destroy the book. And so that kind of was where the idea came from. Then you had to think, well, how would a fake relic manifest itself in D&D? Well, somebody would have a spell to make it look not a fake relic. And who would do that? Well, that would be Zotakwan. And so kind of then just kind of the logic took over.
It was great. My player characters, because you expect that they're going to, strike the book with the scepter. They were poking the book. And I'm like, eventually, I'm just like, it breaks. They're like, hey, we were just poking it. I'm like, no, it breaks. I got to move on.
That's right, because they're going to sit there and go.
Right. They're a very good, they're a smart party. They're just sort of touching it. And I'm like, no, it breaks. Enough already.
You always hit things.
That's right.
In fantasy, you never poke.
That's right.
You always hit as hard as you can.
But no, our players nowadays, our players, they check for every trap. They're just poking. They're overly cautious.
because Dan pulls out all these old modules, whether it's Judges Guild or White Dwarf or before that, some of the Flying Buffalo things you've done.
Dungeoneer, the old fanzine.
They run the gamut of completely gonzo funhouse, make almost nonsensical to rich, such as Irilian. So the default perspective is everything is bad, must check everything, and so everyone has a 10-foot pole, everyone's tapping and searching it. A room like a normal room takes 45 minutes for them to get through, and so we have to work with them to go, all right, come on, this is just a room. No, we don't believe you. So one of the questions we had online is, so before you got in your profession, were you an English literature major or medieval history, or is this just an interest of you as a youth?
No, it's just an interest, really. So I was a scientist. I did maths, physics, and chemistry. And then I went to university to do physics originally, and switched to psychology. But I always enjoyed English, and I particularly always enjoyed the writing, and I loved reading. That was really what I spent most of my time doing. So I think that's kind of where the literary side, such as it is, comes from. Just something you said earlier about how long it would take to play. It was just, well, I guess the idea in mind is, since it took 6 months to come out, that each episode would probably take you 6 hours or longer, 1 or 2 days to play through. So if you work through all the different combats and the potential blind alleys that people would go through,
right,
and then you'd be thinking about that tiding you over until the next episode came out.
Yeah, it's So you really to get one session and to do all this was pretty impressive, Dan. Nice job.
Well, yeah, and I did have to obviously cut out some of the, in the first episode, the amount of combat I had to cut it, because there's, you're encountering many
right, the orcs and then the goblins, and then there's
the hill giant,
and those are big fights too. They're not like
correct.
It's like 20 on 20 against the dwarves, and then you show up. You could take, that could be 3 sessions, just that.
Oh, and what I thought was great is, because I like to point out some of the things that I really enjoyed. The Wild Hunt you brought in, I'm not familiar with it, right? It was in Deities and Demigods, right? But you brought in this idea of the Wild Hunt. So what happens if a player character, because I was scared to death that a player character joins the Wild Hunt. Now I'm trying to get them to Irilian, and somebody's running off with the Wild Hunt. But I guess this is the way it goes, right?
It's the way it goes. Yep, they're off. I think you need to maintain consistency with the story. So if they needed that character, particularly if they are long-standing characters that people don't want to lose, then I guess the Doinshi might rescue them and bring them back to the party later on.
We found this. Do you know this guy? We found this. When you do that, and you do, and I do like that about the adventure, is that you do give the DM opportunities to sort of help them along. Like you have the 2 paladins in the Abbey, which you say I never used because my party was doing just fine, but they're always sort of hovering, right? And they can kind of come in and save the day. Again, because you're trying to introduce people to the city, you're not necessarily trying to kill them as they walk through the city gates.
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, and I think...
I'm sorry, I thought it was to kill them. Okay, so thank you, Daniel, for clarifying that.
It's not to kill
welcome
them.
to the city and now be killed, horribly death. Okay, gotcha. Nice.
I think everybody needs to be heroes in their story or in the scenario. It is written for basically lawful, basically good people, and if you are going to be a hero, you either succeed or you die gloriously, and those 2 options are there. But failing ignominiously is just not a very heroic thing. So I did try and make sure that if they were perhaps a not very experienced party, or they didn't have the right skill mix or the right levels, that there would be the help available. Not so much that they were overwhelmed by it, and so they weren't heroic, they were just kind of following along behind. But if they were nearly winning, but not quite, somebody could stand in and just help them over the line. So that was kind of the idea of the people who might be able to help out.
And so here's a spoiler comment, but somebody, to succeed here, someone's going to have to be a martyr. And I had so much fun writing the character backstory. So I did pre-generated characters because it was a one-off. Literally, they spanned. I've got it. Some of the backstories spanned like this is so. I called it Daniel the Hero. So it was a shout out to you. So Daniel the Hero has a backstory, 2 pages.
You should send that to him.
So yeah, and so
he can get a restraining order on you.
Exactly. This guy's crazy.
In case you ever go to the northeast of England.
Who's this guy in my attic?
That's right.
When his wife goes up there to the attic to clean it out,
you've made a homage to him in a character. You said he has things in it, and this is all on tape.
This is completely consistent with people play D&D. We're a little obsessive, are we not?
I'm not disagreeing with it.
Look, this is so here. Look at the backstories. And so what I tried to do is, I tried to give each of the characters some sort of reason why they would be the one to decide to be the martyr. So Daniel the Hero, particularly in the backstory that I did, is you think he's a paladin. But you would be mistaken. He's a fallen paladin, and he's now a fighter, and he's looking for redemption. There's this half-ogre who had put on a helmet of alignment change, and all of a sudden feels terribly guilty about all the people he has killed. Perhaps he's a cleric, a half-ogre. Impressed he's a half-ogre?
Yeah, that's awesome.
A half-ogre cleric seeking redemption. There is a monk whose parents had been weapons traders with orcs and who fled and feels guilty for all. So I tried to give people reasons to be the one who wanted to be the martyr. And I don't know if martyr is the right word here, but the one to sacrifice themselves.
To die gloriously for a cause.
Yes. And it was the monk in my game. It was the monk. He's like, yeah, I'm stepping in. Can I mention real quick?
You can mention as much, whatever you'd like.
He probably has some things to do better than this. But one of the things I absolutely love, James, I love random.
Yes, we are random fans.
And I love dark.
Dark and random.
The part I love, absolutely, my favorite part in this is when the party is standing in the Markyard.
Yeah.
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Markyard.
Yeah.
Standing in the Markyard, and the cleric, right, is above, is suspended in air, and she's haranguing the crowd, right, because she's been overcome by the dark. She points. And she's going to point, I believe, we need a pentagram. So what do we need? 5, I think?
Yeah, 5, yeah.
She's going to point at 5 people in the crowd. So the crowd is all assembling because they're all panicking. And those poor people that are pointed at are going to rise and they're going to be engulfed in this dark flame. And what I love is you actually roll to see if any of the characters are pointed at. You know what their chance of being pointed at?
1%?
Oh, please, so high?
Oh, that.
1 in 2,000.
Oh, jeez.
But what is great about it is, you actually roll for it.
Wow.
So there's a 1 in 2,000 chance that you will actually. So I
Math
said,
is fun.
I actually told them, I said, there's about 2,000 people out there. And I say, well, how do we roll this? I'm like, oh, let me tell you. You first need to roll a die 100.
Yep.
If you get a 0-0, that's bad for you.
That's right.
Then you roll again, and if you get a 1 on a die 20, then you are rising. And so
Yes.
I just love that sort of idea that, look, I know it's 1 in 2,000, but it could be you. And it could happen. I can tell you, none of them rolled the 1 in 2,000. Don't worry, the story is okay. You're going to enjoy the story.
Okay.
They throw something at her. They're hurling missiles. And if I recall correctly, you say anyone who hurls anything at her, all of a sudden themselves get engulfed in the black flame. Yep. I had 2. Yep. One guy did it and got engulfed with the black flame. So why not have someone else do it?
Yeah, exactly.
I have 2 of my characters that are engulfed in the black flame. So, but maybe you could talk a little bit about, because I thought that was just wonderful, that 1 in 2,000 business.
Yeah, I guess it's having jeopardy in the story without bringing it to a full stop. So how do you put people at risk without killing them, or without them necessarily dying? I do. I've always liked the idea that chance plays quite a big part in life, and I didn't want people to be observing the story or observing what was going on with the dark. I wanted people to be at much at risk as anybody else, so that they were invested in what happened. So I guess it was roles like that which were hoping to draw people in. And even though it was very remote, it was still something they had to check out.
And I think it's a lot of fun, even, when it's very remote, it's fun just to sit there and everyone's rolling, because you're all sort of wondering, wow, what could this could happen.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, so the characters were very smart. So the two characters out in Gulleton Flame, I had given backstories, which almost all of the characters had a reason from their deity to go on this, because I really liked the whole theme of sort of good versus evil. They were all good characters. They all were religious, had religious motivations for going on this to please their deity. One was actually on a quest. And so they were smart. So the two of them prayed to their deities. Now, I'm not a big fan of divine intervention, give me a break. What do they care about you? But I thought that was a good move in this instance, because they were actually there on behalf of their deities, trying to save, what I called the Northern Waste, which was why I said Irilian, from the forces of evil. So I looked up the DMG, and I did the same. I wasn't going to make it actual divine intervention where deity or animal appears, but that would help them out. Because the problem is, you wrote in there that the only way, I think, to get rid of the black fire was either like an artifact or some sort, or a demigod status or higher helping you out, or something like that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys, they can go home now.
Yeah, exactly.
So they prayed, and I pulled out the DMG, and there's a straight 10% chance.
Deities and demigods.
Deities and demigods book. Straight 10% chance if you've been very devout. They'd all been devout. I mean, that's why they were there. And then if you were on a mission on behalf of your deity, you get a plus 25%.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm all about the rule of cool. I'm not going to, look, let's make this fun. So fine, 35% chance. They both roll, and they both rolled 35 or below.
Wow.
And it just happened. And that was very fun. That was a lot of fun.
It's a 1 in 9 chance of that happening.
And it happened. And it was a very epic moment, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah. So
we were talking about that on Twitter. People are talking about total party kills and, whether it's appropriate or not. And, certainly that's an old school way. Later editions really try to avoid that. There's not a lot of whole fun of watching everyone re-roll characters. And, where it is kind of there has to be that chance, and it's very likely. But if you don't have that razor's edge, to your point, if there isn't that 1 in 2,000 chance, or that's when you get this amazing roll. You can't get a 1 in 20 or 1 in 100. Right. Save yourself, or some spell goes off. You can't do that if your characters are not in danger. And so I think that's when that's the memorable moments, when the gnome steals from the black dragon and survives, or whatever the case may be. And so that's, if it's just all predetermined, it's just, I know how much skill there is, I know how much hit points they have, it's a fait accompli, then it doesn't really matter. So I think that's what's so cool about having these settings. And my comment to the Irilian, I didn't run it, but I read it, is there's just so much detail, was that common for everyone to do? Because I think that definitely is more of a UK, when I look at the modules and the material, there is detail that we didn't have here in the States. I mean, we thought the Village of Hamlet had a lot of nonsense material, how much copper pieces were underneath the bed. You guys, and especially Daniel, your work, you have how many rooms are on each floor, again, who's there, not only their alignment, but their predisposition for every character, their backstory. It's just, you could run a whole campaign of it. So was that kind of the norm for the type of what you saw around there in the 80s?
I think there was a fairly obsessional flavour to a lot of UK writing at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's to make the unbelievable believable.
Yeah.
Detail is often the thing that conveys it.
Verisimilitude, right? Isn't that the term of it?
Yeah.
Verisimilitude? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And if you're trying to show what a thing is like and also what it's not like, then the detail can be telling. And kind of once you start, it's very difficult to stop. So once you've detailed one shop, then you kind of think, okay, better do them all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so helpful because we get that. Well, and unfortunately, some players, when you give detail, they think something's more important than it really is.
Well, sure.
You know, if you say there's a candle on the table, oh, there's a candle.
What's that candle do?
Why is it there?
I inspect the candle. I search for secret traps in the candle.
So we have players who, if you give descriptions, they assume you're describing it because it's important. So one of the things I've had to do if we use some of these modules to say, not everything is important. It's more of just to convey just the flavor of it, as opposed to saying you're in your traditional medieval tavern, whatever that means, and people kind of just fill in the blanks mentally. Because I don't know, some people are not as read. I think especially later generations, they don't have the history of reading. They don't have the baseline of Moorcock and Tolkien and Frank Lieber. So they don't even have the background of it. So you have a standard frame of reference that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
Do you think that not only was it helpful, is that something that we probably need to start encouraging people again? Because I don't think some of their history is either no reading or they've just watched Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings and they only have a visual step, not a literary background. I think that's to me is one of the challenges.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point because I kind of wrote down where my influences came from. And it was Lord of the Rings, it was Fafhrd and the Grey Mouse, it was Conan, it was Elric, it was Earthsea, it was Terry Pratchett, and it was Thieves' World.
Oh.
And I think there are consistencies. They're different worlds, but they all work in a very similar way. And they don't work by a trapped candlestick.
Yeah.
They don't work by an unforeseen trapdoor in the wizard's tower. They work by big things, big storylines, significant artifacts, larger than life characters. And I think, that original Dungeons and Dragons, particularly the dungeons aspect of it, where you went from room to room checking for traps. You looked for hidden doors, you looked for poison needles when you opened something, all that small scale stuff, I suppose. I think that kind of gets in the way of when you're trying to do big stuff. So there's, I think, very little of that in Irilian.
Very little.
It's kind of right in front of you. There's people, and they're doing big stuff, and you need to do big stuff too.
Yeah, I don't think the party searched for one secret door or checked for one trap, best I can tell. I may be wrong, but it's really not many. Could you talk a little bit, the sense I get is that, and I want to ask you maybe to compare British gaming at the time versus the States. Now, I understand that you may not be familiar with what the culture was over in the States, but the sense I get from British gaming at the time back in the 80s is that it tended to be maybe a bit more grim than over here. That we were a little bit more about, the Greyhawk vibe. I mean, I don't know. I didn't run Greyhawk and use it, so maybe I shouldn't comment. But it wasn't. A lot of the modules that I'm familiar with over here were not that grim, and then the English stuff I'm now being exposed to is more grim. Was that sort of the way you guys did it over there?
I think so. More squalor, I think, if you want to think about it. There was a very, very influential British comic called 2000 AD. I don't know if you've come across it at all, but if you haven't, it's well worth looking up. That was a science fiction fantasy comic where Judge Dredd was their main character. But they had a lot of characters in a similar vein, so morally ambiguous, living in unhappy societies, nobody quite on the level, a fight for everything. That was a very strong feeling, and politically at the time it was a fairly conflicted time as well, particularly in the northeast of England. So I think there was that history to it and that context, and I think that did influence a lot of people.
And it strikes me too as almost a bit Dickensian too. I mean, this idea of very interesting characters and the squalor. I mean, I don't know if Dickens had any influence, but it seems to me a lot of it very Dickensian.
Yeah, and literally and figuratively dark as well. So at the moment I'm looking out and it's raining heavily and it's grey and there's a few leaves left on the tree, and it's
Saturday basically,
right? And anyway, so that's why we were in Florida here. That's why when I played D&D in Florida,
it's very sunshine. Yeah, it's going to be 81 today
leprechauns
here.
and elves and hobbits running around.
So it's a magical place here.
Could you? And I know we're getting along on time here, but I'd really like to hear some of the adventures that you back in the day that you were a big fan of. So I think you had mentioned that you would run some, were there some in particular? Because I'm always on the search for really good adventures that I didn't know about back in the day. And so I didn't know if there's any that come to mind that you remember running that you were a big fan
of. It tended to be the shorter ones that we played. Just because we didn't have a great deal of time.
Yeah.
We had a very long running campaign, but that was never published. There's one called The Demon's Mind, which was published in a fanzine, and I liked that one very much. I can't remember who actually wrote it, although it was one of the people who published quite a bit. So The Demon's Mind. And I liked that very much because of its visions. So it was an impossible landscape where people had to achieve unachievable things, and I enjoyed that one. Barroom Brawl. I don't know if you ever.
I've seen it. Yeah, in White Dwarf.
In White Dwarf. That's good fun.
And I'm a particular fan of Albie Fiore's, Halls of Tiz and Thane, in particular. And I know the Lichway. I think those two, along with Irilian, I think the Lichway and the Halls of Tiz and Thane are probably considered the best of the lot by many people from White Dwarf magazine.
It's kind of you to say so.
Yeah, it's true. They're saying so.
A couple of comments from the chat. One, did you play any other games? Was it just Dungeons and Dragons? Did you do RuneQuest or Call of Cthulhu?
Pretty much. I got RuneQuest, got Chivalry and Sorcery.
Okay.
Because that was really on the medieval minutiae. So I quite liked that, but nobody else did. So we never played it. Did a little bit of RuneQuest. They were the main ones. I think it took so long to learn how to do it that kind of once you're invested into learning AD&D, that was pretty much it. You just didn't have the headspace.
That's me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I'm at. That's why I'm still playing 1E.
And that's what's interesting, because some of the people who've come back, it's I don't know if this is an appropriate thing, but it's almost like they were married and then they're single and they just are trying all different kinds of games. And I get it. We played Paranoia back in the game. And actually, we played Top Secret. A lot of the TSR ones. We knew about RuneQuest. We played Pendragon, which was an interesting take, because it was like no spells. You die, you don't get to a new character. You're the son of whatever. But we fell back to it because it was the familiar, and it was the lingua franca that everyone knew. If you were going to start a game, a lot of people, if it was sci-fi or Star Frontiers, Traveler we played. But those were all tangents to the core game, which was Dungeons and Dragons. Was there a big tournament environment in the UK at the time? Because one of the questions we had, yeah,
no, not in, certainly not in the Northeast.
Okay.
They did have a convention down in London, and went along a couple of years. That was a one-day affair, a few hundred people.
Was that Games Day?
Yes,
Yeah.
so put on by Games Workshop.
Yeah.
And people would play during it, but it wasn't a tournament in the sense that you would get an overall winner at the end of the day or anything like that. Not that I was aware of anyway at the time I went along.
So many of the classic TSR modules came out of tournaments.
Yeah.
They were tournament based. So the question was was this even a thought of doing a tournament? But that really wasn't the culture that you had at the time. That wasn't the scene that they had there.
No.
Yeah.
No. Certainly not the scene I was in.
Okay. Yeah. So,
you had a group of 4 to 6 people, and then they very much played as a group, and then didn't really interact with other groups. So it was quite a insular, I suppose, approach at that time. And you just didn't have a way of knowing about people.
It's
there was no internet.
Right.
There was no message boards. There was short messages in the back of White Dwarf. Anybody interested in role playing, come along to the pub at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
But that was kind of it.
That's truly amazing. I mean, because looking through, I started when I've told Dan this. We would get Dragon magazine, and if it, I don't know what it was. What my young brain was. If it wasn't a TSR product, it was a knockoff, and it wasn't legitimate. And so I didn't even pay attention to most of the adverts in the magazines. But going back through it, exactly, this was the White Dwarf was the way people communicated. They had hey, we want to play. And just think about that. It's like we have Meetup now. We do it online, and you can find people instantly. You can play online now. They have virtual tabletops where people are playing all over the world. One of our players is going to do one of our listeners. He had to leave because his Japanese. He's someone from the UK, lives in Japan now, runs a game in Japanese, and so he had to leave to do that. So, but yeah, back in the day, it's like, hey, we're gonna meet at this pub on and what do? You show up and you hope someone's there. You put it in 2 months before and you show up. That's just amazing. It's crazy.
And what's interesting about it, so I was going through the White Dwarf issues, just because I was trying to reconstruct Daniel's timeline.
That's right.
And what's amazing,
better than I could.
Well, now you know. I can send this to you.
That's right.
Is that the issues are incredible. There's so many. I'm going through these, and there's so many interesting things in there. So many interesting monsters. Of course, many monsters from the Fiend Factory, of course, end up in the Fiend Folio, but many did not, which are very interesting ones. Gary Gygax is writing articles.
Yep.
So Gary Gygax's writings is not only appearing in Dragon Magazine, it's appearing in White Dwarf.
I didn't realize that.
People like Roger Moore, who we are big fans of, is publishing in there. Jim Ward is publishing things in there. So White Dwarf was well known by the famous people that we know over here in the States, and they were contributing to that magazine.
It's very cross. I think it took a while, but the cross it's almost like music or anything else. It bounced back and forth, and each iteration provided a flavor to it that the net result was better than the original.
Right.
Yeah, and so I think Jim Ward was on Carlos's podcast a few weeks ago, and we're just very fortunate to have you on. And I know it was, I don't know if, so what did you think when Dan emailed you? What was your what was your quick reaction to that?
Well, I have had emails in the past asking me, are you? Because Irilian got republished as a PDF a few years ago, and the guy who republished it got in contact asking if I'd give permission. So I
Tell
said I
me.
wasn't the right holders, but so it wasn't kind of totally unexpected.
Okay.
Um, a podcast was totally unexpected, so that's kind of been a novelty, a very nice novelty. Thank you very much.
Oh, we're so happy to have you on.
Yeah. Um, I think I'm surprised that it's as popular again as it was back in the day, and so that's a nice surprise. Are there new people playing over in the States? Do you get young young people
Yeah. So we can
joining in?
speak for ourselves. So Dan and his friend Ed, basically wanted to play. He was going to GaryCon, which is a primarily an old school convention in Wisconsin where Gary Gygax started the movement, if you want to call it that. Used Meetup, which is an online kind of, you could do arts and crafts, set up for D&D. We went from 2 or 3 people. I saw him 2 months later, and Dan and I have kind of managed the thing. And we have 300 members. We have probably 30 or 40 active members, and now people are bringing their sons to the events. My teenage son plays. He'll play 5th edition, which is the latest, but he'll play with me tomorrow. One of our other players. So it's generational where we get it. We'll see a lot of people who we play in this kind of room in the center of the local game shop. People will walk by and they're like, "You're playing 1st edition?" And they'll sit there for 10 or 15 minutes, and sometimes they'll join up. I think it's good that people embrace the edition that they have. I don't think it's a terrible thing that 1st edition is played by older people, because people need to have their game, or else it's going to die. The hobby can't continue to be 1st edition, but there is an idea of, we play this because this is the game we know, and we can convey it well and give an experience to that. So we've got people on. As soon as I said that, all of them are saying, "Oh yeah, we've got folks who play 1st edition who are younger. They're in their 30s and they started with 1st edition." I think there's something about the game that's gravitated people towards it, but it's certainly a fraction of it. Most of us shockingly look like us who play this, which is something. We run an open table. We basically allow anyone to play. One of our dear friends, Vic, he runs an open table, and if you look at his Facebook, he has a very eclectic mix of people there. I think the number one thing is people need DMs. If you have DM, if you build it, they will come. More of this, the addition and what it is. And even though it's a lot easier to play now, the choice makes it almost another problem. You get people who are more flighty. They're not as committed to a long-standing campaign. It's just time constraints are very challenging to come up with. So I run a campaign every 2 weeks, and it's a time constraint for all the folks. But yeah, we get people in there, a lot of folks in there. Do you agree with that, Dan?
Yeah, I do. I think that, so obviously people who grew up with 1E, some people stayed with it because they didn't like the later editions. People who are coming back to it are often coming back. They decide to play 1E because it's what they know. And I don't think nostalgia is a bad word. I mean, I readily admit that I like playing 1E because I like kind of going back to the 80s for a little bit and a little bit of escapism. I enjoy that. I think that the younger players that I've experienced typically were the kids. So the dad played 1E and he's got his son there playing it. I do think one of the difficulties with introducing 1E to the new generation is, number one, why would I play 1st edition when there's a 5th edition? It's the new edition. And another problem I think with some of the younger players is that the sense I get, and James could probably speak to this a little bit more because you have a little bit more familiarity with 5e than I do. I don't know if I don't mean to insult you. Is that 1st edition is surprisingly deadly for a lot of the younger gen. They don't realize. Wait, I only have 3 hit points. Wait. This is the first session, and wait, my character's dead. And us grognards are like, yeah, what's the problem? Yeah. Of course, roll up a new character. And so I think that's part of the problem. We have one player, John, who he said he thinks really the only people well suited for 1E are people who played 1E back in the day, because they understand it's meant to be hard and deadly. And you're not a superhero.
Yeah, I think there's and people are commenting on the chat, which I think there are two schools of thought. There are players who went through the computer games. I played Baldur's Gate, when we didn't play anymore, and played a lot of those, searching for that original feel of that. The game has progressed where you went from very simple classes that had limited capabilities, and it was mostly cerebral and interaction, and the DM and the player would adjudicate what they wanted to do, and there wouldn't be a specific "I do this," to where everything was a skill tree where you'd pick up skills overall. So I think the biggest impediment for people who play newer editions is they're used to having this panoply of skills and abilities even at early level. They're more like a superhero that gets better and better as opposed to the zero to hero. I think there's a lot of people who are okay with the deadly version. There's a stream of video games like Dark Souls, which is brutal. I mean, it's deadly. You have to restart. There's people who play hardcore where they get one life. It's just they're the minority. They're almost like we have to find those people who embrace that. But because most people are used to I die, so what, big deal, we come back, or I've got so many abilities. And that's really the biggest challenge for new players, is they're so used to the computer games where if it's not on my computer screen, the option, talk, attack, parlay, what do I do? Well, you can do anything. And they sit there kind of in this state of, I don't know, to accomplish. So I think from a creative perspective, there's people there. It's just, it's definitely a barrier to folks because, it's the whole backstory versus non-backstory. We didn't do a lot of backstories. We let the game develop the backstory. Your character's story came out of going to Irilian and facing the cleric. It wasn't, I'm the third cousin of the king, and you have the better story before the game itself. Is some of the things that are happening here, but I don't think it's all or nothing. I just think that's the trend.
Well, what's interesting, so one of the persons online had pointed out that that he was a little hesitant to use Irilian, use the Rising of the Dark scenario, because at the end of it, you're basically your heroes. But I think, as Daniel points out in the adventure, you're heroes and you're given this land to the north of Irilian, but this land has got some real problems. It's not the most valuable territory, right? It might be a burden to have
this.
It's
the gift that keeps on giving.
It's got to be cleared out. Right. I mean, you're a hero of Irilian, folks. Have you looked around? It's, this is, I think it's a wonderful, I am very anti, you're the hero, everyone loves you. But I would have no problem with having that happen using Irilian, because I can just imagine all of the difficult challenges now. It's like you said, it's the gift that doesn't stop giving. Yeah. It's like you've got a lot of adventures now where you're struggling. You think you're the hero, but boy, it's not going to be easy.
So Daniel, I know we again, thank you for coming on, and we've gone probably as longer than you ever thought we would. What do you play any games now? It's just completely separated from not only the hobby, but
No, I don't play anything.
So is it fair to say then that in 1984 or so, when you stopped, it was a hard stop. You were done.
Yeah. Pretty much. Baldur's Gate for a bit, and then that was it. Family life took over.
Well, very good. Well, now that I'm sure you're, not to presume your age, but that's we were that way too for decades, raising kids and life, and we just felt, instead of it being a part of our life that was of the 20s or teenager, that there was a lot of value in the camaraderie, the social interaction, and I've met great friends again. We ran a convention in October where it was not just it wasn't just nostalgia. It was, there's value in the shared story. There's that theme of we're meant to be sitting around the fire telling stories kind of thought. So again, I'm sure, not that we are the largest podcast, contrary to what it says on Chartable. But
we're the Irilian. We're like the decay. Well, we were never great, though.
That's right, we were never great.
We just started at this decayed state. Well, maybe we'll like rise to like maybe we're like the pre-Irilian Great Days.
That's
we're
right.
heading that way.
We're heading that way.
We're going to discover gems and all that.
Yeah, fire or something like that.
I'd like to.
Well, even Irilian started as a bunch of hovels.
Exactly.
That's right.
So that's
we
where
are the hovels of
that's our
of
new
podcast.
thing. The hovel of podcast.
That's
The
right.
hovel of D&D podcast.
That's right.
I do, before I forget, before we let you go, because I did want to ask this, because somebody asked this online. I think it was on Dragon's Foot. Did you ever develop anything beyond that region of Irilian that was you included in White Dwarf? My sense is the answer is yes, because I think you made some reference to that. So is there, in your attic, is the Irilian
Is there
area?
a Silmarillion of
A Silmarillion of Irilian.
Irilian. The Silmarillion. Sorry.
Is there more in the attic?
There was a world. Well, I suppose there is a world up in the attic. And Irilian was part of that. It was very, very much derived from Conan's work, or the work of Howard.
Yeah.
And Irilian was at the top, leading into the icy wastes. And then as you went down, there were different continents. A lot of it never really got fleshed out, but it's a city in a world. So there are other parts.
And did your player characters go through Rising of the Dark? Did you run Rising of the Dark for your group of players?
Parts of it.
Okay.
Parts of it. We didn't. My characters, or the characters in our group by then, were about 18th level.
Oh, wow.
So it was
Wow.
far beyond what Irilian was designed for. It was designed for kind of low to medium level characters. One of the things I found is that once characters get too good, once they really are heroic, it really gets a bit boring.
Yeah.
You need the jeopardy. You need the chance of it going wrong and you dying to keep it interesting. And then the more powerful characters get, the more artificial the situations have to be to put them into true jeopardy. So I kind of always found 5 to 7 as a good level to be capable, but damageable and killable.
Yes.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. I'm actually updating our Twitter. Are you on social media? Can people reach you some way, or is it just you want us to?
Nope. Not at all on social media.
You're a smart man. You're
right.
a very smart man. It is basically I'm not sure what the equivalent of the Rubik's Cube of just a time waster but
Yeah.
but we do it because, not because we have to. I think there is some value to it, but I'm not sure the time invested is worth it. But well, thank you for your time.
People can email me.
Okay, well, if you give us that, we'll put it in the show notes, and people can do that.
It's just the email that you contacted me on.
Okay.
You can just.
We'll put that out there. Well, actually, we'll have them email us. We don't want to put that out there for folks just in case they want to know your hours when you're home, so they can get into your attic. They may claim to be bat exterminators.
Yes. That's right. We're here for a bat problem.
We hear you have a bat problem.
We're gonna take her to the
We're gonna
bath.
solve that for you.
Walk out with a box.
How much is it going to cost? Oh no, it's a service. It's part of the government service to deal with rabies.
I mean, can you imagine what's in that box? He may have like the Holmes edition polyhedral dice.
That's right.
Which are going for like $100 or whatever, right? Starstone, hundreds of dollars.
Are you trying to get his house broken into?
No, I'm sorry. You're right.
He has nothing up there but trash.
It's just
It's
trash.
There's nothing there.
I've got the first 100 copies of White Dwarf.
See, he's inviting.
Yeah, that's
Probably.
He's inviting them.
First 50 copies of the Dragon.
Can I list for you things I'm looking for so you can track? Guys, there's certain British modules I'm still.
It's not too late for Christmas. So,
yeah, if you come across something called No Honor in Southport, so I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not suggesting you.
One last thing from our folks out on the internet: when you ran, if you recall, were there house rules or rules that you sorted out and said, no, I can't, deal with them the way 1E was written, or did you have a house rule that you were particularly fond of, if you recall, back in the day?
Don't argue with the dungeon master.
We like that rule.
That's a good way to end this. Don't argue with the dungeon master.
Nobody followed the rule, but that was my favorite one.
That's right. That's right. Paige,
and I think,
go ahead.
I think it's one of the great attractions was it is a social game.
Right.
You do play it with other people, and I think that shared story was always an important part of it for me. So the story and the system. But if push came to shove, then the story over the system.
Well,
was kind of watchword.
And I know one more question. I sound like a lawyer.
Sure.
So can you describe how it feels to you to know that out there in the world, the city of Irilian really sort of lives, right? So people are playing it. So just 2 weeks ago, in a little gaming shop in Florida, the city of Irilian was alive, and the characters you created are interacting with things, and that's happening and has been happening, unbeknownst to you probably. How does that? I would think that would make you feel pretty good.
It's very nice. I think one might say in an understated British way.
That's pretty good for the British.
Yeah,
that's a lot, right, for the British.
Right. It's really quite unexpected. I was very surprised when you got in touch. I had a patient once who, when I went to see him for the first time, said, "I've interneted you. You're quite famous, aren't you?" And then he paused, and then he said, "In a small way."
Oh.
And then he paused again, and he said, "Yes, in a small way." So I think being famous in a small way is really quite nice.
Right.
So thank you very much for your contribution to it.
No, well, thank you, Dan. And that's, I think that's a nice way to end it, in that I don't think you did these submissions. I mean, obviously when anyone who makes art, and this is a creative process, you have to have some vanity, because you're assuming by submitting it that people are going to like it, that you have a unique way of taking it. But it wasn't the motivation of it. You have to have enough to overcome laziness and the fear of rejection, all these other things. So thank you for taking that risk, because a lot of people have enjoyed this, and it also inspires people to say, hey, we could do this as well. I think a lot of folks in D&D, or even in role-playing, they're consumers of it. We have players who are very passive, and it's always good when we have people go, you don't have to just consume things. This is a collaborative thing that you can develop for it. So,
well, and it's probably be obvious, right? Because I'm clearly a fanboy. It's just so good. It's so good. It's so different. I think Gary Gygax once said, for every 10 modules, only one is really worth using. And I think that's often true. And it just stands out. It just has so much flavor. It's just so good. And what's interesting is, I think the year after you got out of the game, in 1985, you're publishing a book. You can find it on Amazon, I think. So it's pretty amazing. And I said that to my wife, because I was doing this research late last night, and I turned to her and I said, okay, the chronology I got is in April 1984, Daniel Collerton is publishing an article on clerical spells for Dungeons and Dragons, and the next year he's publishing a book on medicine. And she turns to me and she says, well, because he's brilliant. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's pretty clear. So it's pretty impressive. And it's always nice when one of the old players of D&D has gone on to be very accomplished, because we can always then say, look, people who play D&D are smart people, right? And we've been successful.
We weren't sacrificing goats, and that was
and
it.
We were not satanic.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If you ever are so inclined to want to chat it up, I'm sure others who will listen to this, they may hit you up, because you are a wealth of information and appreciate the background and story. So thank you for your time today, sir.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you very much for having me on.
All right.
It's been a great pleasure. Keep in touch.
We shall. Thank you. Have a good day.
It's been a treat. Thanks, Daniel.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Cheerio.
All right. That was great.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I was pumped about this interview.
You knocked it out of the park. You weren't messing around.
Oh, yeah, it was like a deposition, right? So in 1984, isn't it true that I went full lawyer on it.
That's right. Is it true? Yes or no?
I knew more about his about his life than he did.
That's right. Yeah. And well, that was, I mean, it was awesome when you emailed him, and I see the almost reticence that he has, because he's like, I don't remember any of this. I mean, he remembers vague, some vague things, but not to the level that he was concerned about, because you know it better than him.
And so. I didn't know it was him. Yeah. So I Googled Daniel Collerton.
Yeah.
Like England. I don't know what I did. I don't know how I kind of figured out. I think somewhere I'd seen some reference to Newcastle. I just sort of figured it might be him. Yeah. And I emailed him, and he said, yeah, it's me. Well, so sometimes you just got to ask.
Yeah, and so we definitely need to keep in contact with him because
of the attic.
Because of the attic, in case he has, maybe he has a misfortune of needing money, or he sells his house and he doesn't want to move that. We need to monitor. Probably need to find his address and see if he's selling his house at some point, so we can.
Maybe I should just make him like one of these storage wars. Just make him an offer without him looking in the box.
Sight unseen.
I'll just sight unseen. I'll give you $1,000 for the box.
Right.
Send the box.
Send the box.
The bat guano.
Yeah.
It'll probably stop at customs. It's dangerous.
That's right. So speaking of boxes.
Speaking of boxes.
Here's the box.
I don't even know what's in there.
Yes, what's in the box? This was.
Is it a gift for me?
No, it's not. Well, I guess if you would like a gift.
No, I'm joking.
That would be okay. Yeah, I was getting ready for the holidays, and I thought. I like you. You're an eBay thing. I was looking for things. There's a couple of items that I've wanted to get, and this is the first one I wanted to get.
Oh, can't wait!
And so I teased it yesterday on Twitter, and so now I'm going to reveal it with you. Actually, why don't you can open it?
Okay, this is very exciting. I have no idea what James has bought himself. Oh,
so I'm very fortunate.
Look at this.
It is a thing. Go ahead. There.
Oh, that's heavy.
Yes,
it's got heft to it.
It's the first edition Paranoia that I acquired, and fortunately for me, I didn't realize this. When you open it up, you're going to find.
Oh, sure. I'll put it right here.
Yeah, put it right here. Yeah. We've got not only I like the first thing I saw in it, Paranoia, because I'm the computer. That's why. So this
is very consistent with the Daniel Collerton's rule.
That's right.
I'm the DM.
That's why
I said so.
This thing not only had the original Paranoia rules, but apparently they had put a bunch of the bonus modules and scenarios in here as well. So we're very fortunate that it has all the old material. Like, hey, do you want the Ghostbusters game? You can pick that up.
So was this material that came with the original first edition, or have they added to whoever's selling it?
Whoever
has
sold
just stuffed it. That's why it had so much heft.
Yes, they added additional things.
This is like the box in the attic.
Right. It was someone's box in the attic.
The equivalent.
Yeah, I don't want to say it was an estate sale because that usually takes you down to a dark path.
Oh, that's depressing. Oh my God, we could do that though. We could monitor D&D players who.
Well, people do that. They swap in. That's it.
Maybe there should be a list of people in your ages. If you're a D&D player and have stuff your age and so we could just go to estate sale. So but that'll be all these people, all these D&D players will show up. There's a box here. We don't know what's in it.
We don't care about the jewelry and the furniture.
Right, that painting might be a Monet.
No, whatever.
These dice from the Holmes Basic.
Right,
Are you kidding me?
They weren't even colored in. These are amazing. They haven't been used. So so we have the errata, some of the things that were changed there. So that was kind of cool.
It wouldn't be a first edition if there wasn't mistakes.
Mistakes, that's right. So it looks like a cute Paranoia. This is additional information that came afterwards.
Your wife should have forced you. I can't. My wife took Starstone from me because because to spend that much.
It from you?
No, because to spend that much money, I had to say to her, "Well, look, this will be my Christmas present." And then she caught me reading it, and she's like, "No, she's taking it away. It's going to go under the tree." Your wife, you should be able to read this. This should be your Christmas present.
No, it's my present to myself.
Okay.
Christmas is every day for me.
Awesome.
So cute Paranoia. So there's new rules to ignore, new secret societies. I ran Paranoia at GROGTALK last year, and I'm definitely going to run it again. So this was the motivation for it. So I have a cute Paranoia.
And you know what I love about this too? What's great about this is that you're like total grognard now, because you're like first edition AD&D, yeah. Paranoia, got to be first edition.
That's right.
You're not even willing to move to other editions of other games.
Supposedly, second edition is the edition they actually play. No, I'm playing first edition.
Right.
They fixed a lot of the rules. They made it a little better.
You don't care.
Nah, whatever. I don't care.
You're a true grognard.
I'm a true grognard. So now I have the yellow clearance black box rules again. This was another 48-page adventure. So you've got characters here. Let's show you the pre-gen characters. So you are an era. No one is screaming. Thank you for your cooperation. That's what the computer says. So there we go. Then here is the original player's handbook. So this is what I really wanted, was the original thing. And look, it's in great shape.
Wonderful condition.
Wonderful condition. The Games Master's book. So the original box set had a adventure book, a Games Master's book, and the adventure book. And look at these, the box is in pretty good shape. It's got a little tears. So we have that. Then it has Orc Busters, which is another adventure from back in the day. Very excited about that.
So it's a treasure trove.
This is everything I'm ever going to need for Paranoia. So it's got that.
You're done.
Yeah.
That's what you think.
I think no.
You'll find other stuff.
I'm pretty sure I got more stuff of that. Then more songs about food vats. So this is part of that as well. This is probably second edition since it's 1989. So I'm going to have to
burn that. Let's get, throw it into Groggy.
Burn it. It's right. It's to the Temple of Groggy. We'll have to do that.
Groggy's very upset. Groggy, he gets very upset if there's anything not first edition in this room.
And then the classic module, which is the classic adventure, Send in the Clones, which is one of the original.
Are you going to run one of those? Are you going to run one of these?
I believe I'm going to.
I would like that. That'd be cool.
I think I'm going to run Send in the Clones.
Because that makes it really groggy.
That is
right. Because you're actually running an old school as opposed to, because if you write the adventure, it's not old school.
No, that's right.
It's very new. It's very 2019.
Yeah, unless you pretend that you wrote it back in the day.
Right. Yeah.
Marvel superheroes would be great. Definitely, they're very proud of that on eBay, Marvel superheroes, but I would definitely get that as well. I didn't play it back in the day. Here we go. So our idol says that the book that shall not be named is first edition.
It's 1.5. Are we going to do the episode that shall not be named?
It's on the list.
Okay.
It's on the list. The episode that shall not be named is. Let me see where currently that is. Sometime next year. We have so many things we've got to.
We're just packed. Well, yeah, the holiday episode. I have 2 holiday shirts coming.
You do?
I'm not going to let you know what they are.
Well, we got a couple things. We have to run that game. So I have another item that's coming, which will be another reveal that I will be doing. So I got 2 items, and one was from an estate sale. This was not from an estate sale.
That's smart. I would have done a Starstone reveal then. I like that idea.
I don't even know I don't even know what Starstone is.
Oh, so Starstone is so Paul Vernon wrote for White Dwarf. Mm-hmm. You heard it. He wrote the Town Planner series, and he wrote a module called Starstone. It actually has 3 adventures in it.
Okay.
And it's very much like. It fleshes out this whole area. There was a prequel to it, adventure called Troubles at Ember Trees and White Dwarf, but it got sort of this legendary status because it was considered very good. I don't know that it was considered amazing. Some people do, but I think what happened was it was so hard to find. If it's considered very good and it's so hard to find, it becomes legendary. And so it's very hard to find. There's one on eBay now. I scooped up one. But so that's what started. So I think the reality is it's the fact that it was just so hard to find. It gave it a lot of its fame.
Well, that I definitely would want to see that. I think a lot of people like seeing the visible things, and some of these prices, unfortunately, because people are getting older and have some disposable income that people are buying it, and then a lot of the younger players or players back in the day, they'll either go to PDFs or they'll go to Drive-Thru-RPG, which again you can get a lot of this on Drive-Thru-RPG. But the thing I purchased, I didn't even know about because I had gotten out of the hobby. It's actually a 1991 thing, but it's something that is considered by many to be a great D&D book. So I will reveal that next time.
That's great.
But yeah, there's a few things. I'd love to get Ruin Quest, Call of Cthulhu, any of those old school games. But I think that's why the OSR is interesting because a lot of people have said, yeah, Paranoia is great or D&D is great, but let's make the rules easy, and they've produced them in whether it's Labyrinth Lord or
the basic fantasy system.
Basic fantasy. Yeah, there's been a few of them that have come up there. So. I think, again, we're on, this, thanks to Daniel again. That was awesome to have him on.
So let me ask you this. Do we have time? We have no time for random mods?
We do. For you, we have plenty of time.
Okay.
I don't
have a game to.
Okay.
I don't know football game to 3:30.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know what the plan was.
I don't think we're going to go for
it's only 10:03?
Yeah, it's only 10:03. Okay, I'll put that away. Let's see.
Because I love
Yes, we'll do random encounters.
So how much did I love that interview with Daniel Collerton?
You did great. That was awesome.
It'd be like interviewing Ozzy.
That's right.
Something, you know.
I'm not sure you would have much.
No, this one's better.
Only Albie Fiore would probably be the only one you'd probably be as enamored with.
That would be incredible.
That would be incredible.
He's my
Did you have your books with you?
I do. He's my absolute hero. He's the greatest.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got my books.
Oh, and Jerome, that's right. Jerome Flynn was in that Firestone play. Yep, absolutely.
You guys are still talking about the play?
I'm doing that. He tweeted me. So
he did?
Yeah.
Who tweeted you?
I think Jerome did. I think he. Oh no, he didn't. One of the other cast. I got to find.
You have a cast member. You're in communication with the cast member.
I got some communication. I have to do more work on that. That's what I'm hoping.
Did it come with like a summons?
No,
or restraining order?
No restraining order.
That wasn't the It wasn't from their lawyer. You're talking about me being. Again, I should have restraining orders against me.
I'm sorry.
Well, you're talking about me getting restrained. What about you?
I said it under the context of appreciating their literary work and reviving it, not in
pilfering
their items, asking them when they're not going to, what materials they have in their house.
I kind of threw in
slightly a little different.
I kind of threw in the end that module I was looking for, just kind of like being funny but half serious, hoping maybe he'd be like, yeah, I'll take a look for that. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I'd like to look at the reprint. I want to see that because I think if he did a Kickstarter and really was interested in pursuing that, I'm sure if he did an Irilian 2, people would buy it.
Oh yeah, and I kind of talked over, and I feel bad about it, where he was talking about Kelry had remastered it, and Kelry reached out to him, and Kelry did publish it remastered. The remastered version online is, as I recall, I've got a copy. Is putting it together in a single document, the city, because some people find it hard to be through 6 volumes to be flipping around, but you can get White Dwarf number 3. Now the problem with White Dwarf number 3, where it puts it all together, is that's very expensive. White Dwarf number 3 is very expensive.
So what David's saying is Jerome Flynn was Bronn from Game of Thrones, and he was in the Firestone play. That's crazy.
Well, no, that's his bad news, because you're never going to get him now to come here and act.
Well, I wasn't playing.
I know you weren't.
I just wanted to play.
Right. You want the script.
I want the script or the video of it to see how it was.
Right. It's got to be somewhere in someone's attic.
Someone's got to have it.
Yeah, we need the script. Yeah, you can't put on the play without a script.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see.
We're gonna need to card people for that play, though, aren't we? I don't think the production goblin. Can he get in? I don't think.
Well, in 4 months he'll be 18.
Okay. All right, but we may have to card at the door, don't you think?
Yeah, especially if people are drinking, which is going to be necessary if we're the actors of
it. We may need to show the script to Craig Russell, the organizer of Crucible, before we.
That's right.
Right.
Not safe for Crucible.
Well, we may need it cleared.
We don't know. We have no idea. All we know is it was a gender bender kind of thing that was in there. That was the only thing that showed on that. The Adventure magazine.
I think there's some places that would allow us to have the play there, but I don't know if we want to go to those places.
So again, thanks to our friends, Adventure magazine. That thing's amazing.
Oh yeah, thanks for Adventure magazine. I actually printed out the Adventure. I think the Dark Tower or something. It was recommended.
Okay. Yep.
Printed it out. So I always love to find out about obscure
I think that was
magazines.
Menyon was
Thank you, Menyon.
to that.
That's awesome.
So I've got to do more. That's actually on my list of things. You've got to send me the last revision of the module so I can of the summer tournament, so I can get that out the door to our patrons. Which again, thank you for our patrons who have been very supportive. We're finishing up and going to get all those items to you all in the next couple of weeks. I want to get that done, and then so both the summer tournament and the winter tournament, and as well as the Paranoia scenario that we ran. So we need to get, all right, so let's get the modules out. So
this is the to-do list?
Yeah, I got a to-do list. Get the modules out.
This is exciting podcasting. We're now doing, can you, I got to stop by the store to get some milk. And I think I need butter. Can you put that down?
I'll put that down as well.
Can you type up the list for me?
If I don't remember this, it goes by.
Oh, that's so true, isn't it? It's so true. If you don't write it down now.
So we have Bucky Argyle, would you do the title for Saxony, please? Are you the same person who emailed me? Because we have a new patron. Didn't I tell you that?
Wait, no. Why are we not? Are we doing a titling?
Yeah, we're supposed to do titling.
Well,
I didn't think we would have time, so I told him, Bucky, you're the same person who emailed me, please put that in there.
I would have kept.
I don't want to give the title Saxony to someone else, but I assume it's the same person.
I would have kept Daniel Collerton.
Oh, okay, great. So it's not Bucky. That's not his real name. His. I don't have my email here.
Wait, his name isn't Bucky Argyle?
No, it's not. Hold on.
That's a good name, though.
It is.
I like that. We gotta get that into an adventure, don't you think? Bucky Argyle.
That is good. Yes. So he is one of our new patrons. So thank you. But yes, we could do the title for you. Absolutely. When I emailed you, I wasn't sure, how the Daniel thing was going to go. If you're going to spend 2 hours, this or that. So we'd be more than happy to do that right now. So I think his name is Steven. It's terrible. See, the problem is I don't have Patreon up here right now, so I apologize. I also offered him to call the Grog line. He doesn't need to, but we will do that right now, sir.
Oh, wait. We have to talk about some controversy.
What's controversy now?
The controversy swirling around the titles.
There's no controversy.
Is there not?
I don't think there's a controversy. The Scourge thinks there's a controversy.
He's defending his significant other. So there's controversy over the titling of his significant other, right? That she got the name, right? The Strangler. She doesn't like the Strangler part, apparently.
That is the dice ruled that.
The dice do not lie.
Right. And what have we said the thing is? If you don't like the title, you can, if you don't like the title, you can change your tier as a patron.
That's right.
And
spend more money.
And she can get a new title.
Not less, though. It only goes the other way.
Right. If you go less, we may drop you. That's right.
So just send us more money. So Jeannie can send us. Jeannie is unhappy with her title. We're such benevolent.
Right. We're benevolent dictators.
Just, you don't like your title.
Right.
Spend us.
We have a bribe level. We have a bribe level.
We have a bribe level.
We can be bribed.
We should use the chart.
That's right. We should have the chart.
Yeah, we have a bribe level. All right. Yeah, so you're right. There's no controversy.
I don't
Send more money.
Send more money. And
we won't give you stuff. We will promise you stuff and not give it to you.
Yeah, and the thing for us, actually, it would be Vic who'd be giving stuff, because Jeannie, while she, Vic's been extremely generous.
You mean Empress Strangler.
Empress Strangler, thank you. She's going to come down and strangle both of you. Well, that takes care. So you might as well get your star sewn out, because you're going to be dead by Christmas. You may not make it to Christmas.
That's right. I have to run this, honey.
Tell your wife, say, I need to have this.
I'm going to be strangled. If you find me strangled, this is the person you need to investigate. The cops need to talk to this person.
That's right. The name. What's your title? Strangler.
Empress Strangler?
It wasn't her.
Yeah. Did you strangle this person? No. Somebody else. My pupil.
That's right. Wasn't
my apprentice.
I mean, your name is Strangler. You were in Florida. We were going to see these two, and they're both dead now through strangulation.
Who did she allegedly kill? Dan Gormansky. We find her not guilty.
We thank her.
We give her money.
She's the hero of the city.
She get up Florida too.
Oh, I guess you'll get it. You'll have it only for a couple of days, because they're coming after Christmas.
They're coming after Christmas. That's right.
So your holidays will be, enjoy your last
played
holiday.
On Christmas.
Enjoy.
Anyone want to play a game on Christmas? Who's up for D&D on Christmas?
That's right. Christmas.
Hey, honey, I got a game. That's not good.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Can't make it to Christmas dinner.
Well, I could get away with it because of my 3 production goblins. I could play with them here, but I couldn't go somewhere.
But wouldn't your wife be like, why you guys are gonna? Aren't you going to spend any time with me?
No. I mean, she'll be fine. She wants a certain amount of time, and then she'll go off and do her thing. So
as long as you're like the cat. As long as you're around?
That's right. If we're around, we're okay.
Okay.
We're good. Because there's multiple, and there'll be a cacophony of sound, so she'll be happy if we're upstairs.
You're loud and yelling and
and actually I may run
bathroom humor.
That'd be good. Yeah, she does just 4 boys. She's
right.
She can only take so much of it.
All right. You're right. I feel so bad for her.
Well, you know what? She's signed up for this deal. So
I don't know if she signed up for 3 boys.
Last time I checked, that was a partnership.
Well, boys? No, I understand that. Yes, I understand she was involved.
Yes. It wasn't like she...
No, but that was a roll of the dice. That's right. Oh, boy.
Right. 1 in 8.
Oh, boy. Boy.
1 in 8 chance. Love it.
All right. Okay. We're ready to bestow a title.
That's right. All right, so let's do this. So
this is for which area?
Well, this is for Saxony. He has claimed Saxony.
Help me out here.
I assume that's somewhere in the England area.
Because I know the Angles. Well, the Anglo-Saxons. The Saxons came from somewhere. Did the Saxons come from France? The Angles came from somewhere,
Yeah, I'm
and
not
the
sure.
Saxons came from Saxony's France. Isn't
So a Bucky who's not his real name.
France,
oh, maybe it's in
see?
France. Okay, so a Bucky who may have not. Oh, Germany.
Oh, Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we have any?
No, we don't.
Are you claiming all of Germany?
No, he's claiming Saxony. He said.
So Saxony is still a region in Germany.
Yes, I guess so.
Okay.
For those who haven't listened to our podcast, we are your typical American. We have no idea. And continents, we kind of lip sync.
Leipzig. Come on,
yes.
Leipzig. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. No, he's claimed it, and he's that's it. English Germanic language for that reason. See, this is why we have an international. It's almost the gods have mocked us because we have no idea what the rest of the world is. We're your typical ugly Americans.
This is terrible because we're on so early. The only real audience we have are people halfway across the world,
right?
And we know nothing about their land, their
culture,
their language.
Nope.
We're the stupid Americans.
We are the dumb, ugly Americans. That's right.
All right. There we go.
Well,
a globe. We do need a globe. We should get a little globe, a mini globe. You're right.
I have a globe. I have a globe and a map. We'll bring them in here.
We should. You know what? What we should do is we should
put little pins.
Exactly.
That's a good idea.
Think?
That's okay. More work for me to do.
More work for you. Put that on the list.
I'm sorry. I've got to put that.
Oh, could you also get? Oh, so if you're doing that, could you get my milk and bread for me?
No.
Or butter.
Do people like the map that I made for everyone? Because I made the map. Did you like the map I put out there? I have the map.
Yes.
That was
pretty good. I saw it on Twitter.
Yes. That was nice, right?
It's impressive.
Thank you. I put some work into that.
You do. No, the IT work you do is great. I mean, I know you joke about it, but it's very impressive. All right. I mean, all I do is put blood on a goat's chin.
Right.
And miscut Gary Gygax's.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. Okay.
We need to get a better picture. That's part. If you want to get a better picture of Gary Gygax, please consider becoming a patron because this bad printer out. I printed that one out. That's it's not that great.
No, I'll print another one out. Okay, let's do it.
So we're doing D15, right? First.
You're doing D15.
6 divided by 2 is 3.
What is that? Oh, is that a,
it's D20. I'm sorry.
No, I don't have a 30.
Oh, you have a D30.
I'm still with the Tyzantine purple dice.
So we got to do this and divide by 2. I'm sorry. So let's see. That's 11, 6. If it's a Chamberlain, I'm going to shoot.
Chancellor.
Okay.
Chancellor. Do we have?
I think we have a Chancellor, but we only have one.
Right. I really want someone to be the guild master at some point. Whatever.
Okay, Chancellor. Okay. Then,
Chancellor, no, that's appropriate because wasn't there like the Chancellor in Germany?
Yes, there was a number of Chancellors.
Right. Wilhelm, I think. Right?
Well, there was
Chancellor.
Hindenburg was a Chancellor. And
that's right.
Then some other guy came after him.
Hitler.
That was one of them.
Yeah, that was right. Okay.
Chancellor, we'll go with. Well, we're going to see what the next one is.
Oh wait, what's going to be? It can be ever or most.
Well, I think we decide if it's in parentheses, it's what's most appropriate.
Got it. You're right.
So so now we're doing a D30.
Got it.
Right. So 25.
Oh, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26. Matchless.
Matchless. His matchless. Or
his most matchless.
His most matchless.
It wouldn't be his all matchless.
Yeah, that would be bad.
His most matchless.
His most matchless. Do you want that alliteration?
I guess you can decide. His. I think his most matchless.
Yes, his most matchless. We'll go with that.
Okay. All right. So now die 30.
Die 30 again.
Again, yeah.
So this is 22.
30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22. Magnificence.
Wow.
His most matchless magnificence.
Magnificence.
M squared.
I think M cubed.
28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22. Yeah, you're right. Cubed. I'm sorry. Right. Not squared. Cubed. Cubed and squared.
Then the next one
is 15.
So 15, this is 26 divided 13.
Emperor.
We have lots of emperors.
Was there an M1? That would have been good. Oh, there could have been Marquise.
The Marquise.
That would have been good.
That would have been
all M's.
Awesome.
Well, the dice don't lie.
Yeah.
All right.
And this is the D60,
yes.
right? So this will be that's okay. So
you have to do first like 1 through 30.
Well, 1 through 10. No, I'm going to do a D10 and then 1 through 6 to figure out if it's 10s, 20s, 30s. So
just tell me what the numbers.
30.
30. Oh.
Another puissance? No.
Strangler.
10, 20, 30.
Oh, I'm sorry. 50, 30. Yeah.
Oh, no, it's 30. I'm sorry.
No,
You're
30
right, 30.
Strangler.
Strangler. Another Strangler.
Uh-oh.
Emperor Strangler. Oh, this is a little controversy.
Ooh.
Because she's the Empress Strangler.
Awkward.
Oh, this is awkward.
Is very
this
awkward.
Is very
oh,
awkward.
My good. Oh, you know there's a war coming.
This is awesome.
Dorso sending his troops.
That's right.
Now as we speak, they've already been launched.
Well, it does make sense because there's Scandinavian and Northern European people that settled in Minnesota. Maybe there's some third or fourth cousin action going on there.
This is very awkward.
Very strange here. I love it.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
so Magnificent Emperor Strangler.
That's why there was controversy over the title. Jeannie didn't want the title. She knew.
She knew that this was going to come out. And see, Jeannie's half German. She just said
it's come out.
This is why we use these.
Oh my! I'm so sorry.
This is why
we didn't mean for this to happen.
It's
I
like
feel
a
terrible.
DNA test that all of a sudden, oops. Sorry.
Yes, it's like one of those shows. Who's the real father? Bring him out. Let's roll. 1, 2, or 3. It's Vic.
You are not the father.
Oh. All right. So 1, 2, or 3. It's Vic. 4, 5, or 6.
Oh, that's.
But we shouldn't tell. We'll just.
Yeah, it's best not to.
Should we not tell him?
No, we're not going to.
All right. We're never going to disclose that. That's the DNA test. We're never disclosing.
Now we know she wants to strangle us.
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
It all came out.
Let's keep going. Let's finish this title up. So we're at D15, 30, right?
You can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't. Well, we could try, but...
It was a 4.
It was a 4, you saw it.
I'm sorry, Vic, it's true. It's not you. It's him. It's the other man.
What are you doing? This is 30, right?
Yeah.
So this is 14. Yeah, so right.
14?
Yeah, so it's 30, 14.
You're sure?
Yes.
Champion of.
Yeah, because
14.
Right, there's 30 of them. Yeah.
And you did 4.
10. Yes, 1 to 2 would be 0 through 10. 3 to 4 would be 10 to 20. Yeah, 14. Yep, champion.
Champion of.
Champion of Saxony.
I don't even know what we really mean by the fact that I don't even know what we're actually alluding to. Are we alluding to that Jeannie?
No, that is the sinister thing. They're part of the Strangler family, is what it means.
Well, they were always marrying off people, right? To other, because you wanted to have alliances.
Right. They're part of the Strangler. It's like the Windsors or the, it's a line. It's Strangler line.
Oh, this is actually, Vic, he needs to be smart about this because, that means there can be an alliance formed.
Right.
Who's in trouble? Is there anyone in between?
Oh, there's plenty of. There's
Who are they going to take over?
Our dear friend Sweden is there.
Oh, who's
moving towards Finland, which again
he's got to be very nervous.
Which one of our dear friends, Megla Markolio, he's Finnish, and I told him he's not. I don't think he's caught up to all the episodes. Martin, our friend, I got to make sure I use his official title, which is where is he? The master, his most august piety, baron, contentious lord of Sweden. We did an assassination attempt on it, which was failed, and so his fleets are moving towards Finland as we speak.
Well, they need to combine
because there is no kingdom.
Well, they got to watch out because there's a pincher move with Germany.
Now that's right.
And the North Woods.
Yes,
right. Yeah. I mean, you can get right out the Great Lakes. Kinds of Don't you go up to St. Lawrence? You can get right out of there, right?
Go across the St. Lawrence, or maybe there's still enough of the ice pack you can just traverse over the North Pole, see Santa, and get some gnomes.
It's gonna be a bloody Christmas.
It's bloody Christmas.
Very red Christmas.
All right. Well,
can't wait.
We are now going to bestow to our dear friend, and his name is not Bucky Argyle, but we're going to call him that. But
that's his movie.
Stephen, I'm pretty sure is his name, if I remember correctly. But I don't have my email up, so I do apologize.
Disclose it. If he says Bucky Argyle, he wants to be Bucky Argyle. He doesn't want to be his real name.
Oh, they're going to have an army of gnomes ashore waiting. That's good.
The army of gnomes. Oh, that's got to be a module.
Yeah, the army of gnomes.
Don't you think? The army of gnomes. I love it. I need a T-shirt that says that. The army of gnomes.
Oh, okay. So that's good. So let's bestow this title to our dear friend. So we bestow upon we as the Grog Empire, the titular heads of the Empire of Grog, we bestow against our person, Bucky Argyle, as his name on YouTube. The Chancellor, his most matchless, magnificent...
Emperor Strangler, Champion of Saxony.
That's right. Congratulations. And someone asked, is there any tier of a patron of any tier may be bestowed a title? If you are supporting through your tithes and your tribute, the empire. So you can claim, you can be part of that. That was one of the questions. So yes, Mega, if you want to prevent that, you can claim Finland for yourself and then be the defenders of Finland just need to become a patron. That's how basically what it comes in, and you can get that too. So congratulations. I hope you enjoy your title. And you and Vic and Jeannie, Bucky, can figure out why you're both, one's an Emperor Strangler and one's the Emperor Strangler.
We'd like an explanation.
Yeah, and don't come here, because apparently if they're Emperor and Empress, they may kill us. We are the Emperors, so they may try to strangle us.
That'd be a good article. That would be a good module too. Don't you think? An Emperor Strangler? Or Emperor and Empress Strangler?
Yeah.
There's a lot going to happen there.
I like the Strangler.
I like that too.
So Vic, you need to talk to Jeannie about that. The Strangler thing is pretty awesome.
Because you could be an assassin then. So we're talking about assassins, right? So you could be, that's a topic? No. So we're assassins. You could have like a specialty.
Yes.
You're like a strangler.
That's right. The Strangler family.
Poison? I don't use poison. The Strangler's
Guild. The Creeper and the Creepy. The Strangler family.
Do you think there's a Stranglers Guild? Like a sub-guild.
Sub-guild.
Of the assassins.
Anyone can poison people.
Right.
That's easy.
We work with our hands.
Right. The Garrett family.
Yeah.
You know, Garrett or Garrett. Yep.
We're artisans.
That's right. We're craftsmen of this. That'd be perfect. You are quite welcome, sir. You are quite welcome.
I love what I love about this show is, you receive a demon idol and you're happy.
Yes.
You get the title Strangler. You're like, thank you.
That's right.
This is a little bizarre. It's strange to think that a satanic panic ever occurred.
Well, fortunately, now we have Daniel Collerton, a clinical psychologist, at least based on his thing. We could probably have a session with him to kind of make sure we're okay.
Oh yeah, maybe that could be one of the things you get to be a high level patron.
Right.
Oh, you know what he can do is he can analyze you and tell you your alignment.
Oh, I like that.
Right?
Right. Instead of, it's no alignment. That would be the name of the session.
Because everyone thinks they're whatever.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's not true.
That is not true.
You are most decidedly chaotic evil. What?
Yes. That's right. That would, and for the right price, we could fix it if you'd like.
You know who knows your alignment?
Who?
Your spouse.
Oh, they do.
They know your alignment.
No.
They know.
I can't use the words that she would call me on the alignment chart.
You're like off the alignment?
Yeah.
There is no such alignment. I've looked through all of these, and these are all too good. All right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right.
So one of our friends is, what is the thing we're most proud of? Don't be humble. Saturday morning, yes. Something well, I was very proud of a campaign world, my current campaign, but also I created a campaign back in the day, which I thought was, it's kind of like all our youth, where we worked on things, and I was doing a very similar thing to what Daniel said, light and dark, good and evil, and basically this mad wizard wanted to test morality and created this world, and eventually, unfortunately, he became insane and kind of skewed things towards evil, and one of the dwarves that was helping him create the world, and it was very Lord of the Rings meets, light and dark, because I read a lot of things, very, I think one of the things we didn't really touch on with Daniel is, I think American literature was very influenced by Star Wars. The very Darth Vader is bad, Luke Skywalker's good.
I always love to join the dark side. He's like admitting it.
Right.
Join the evil side. I'm evil. Join me.
Not the we will and not a lot of gray. Whereas I think there was a lot more gray in the morally ambiguous, and certainly D&D codifies that with the 9 alignments versus previous ones had basically law and chaos and not necessarily good and evil was kind of thing. So very proud of that. Had a lot of good time. Anything that stands out to you?
Well, I haven't been doing a lot of creating, right? Because back in the day, I was a player.
That's right. That's right.
So I didn't, so any creating I've been doing has been more recently. So I have much more limited options to choose from. But okay. I liked my Gnome Skull adventure that I did for the tournament.
Wonderful. So if you again, beautiful plug into a patron. If you are a patron of the silver tier or more, you will get a copy of Gnome Skull. I think it's incredible, the work that you've done.
Thank you.
And that's not. It's flavor rich, nice to run. Really puts a lot of background. And Vic was a player in it. His team won the tournament. I think everyone had a great time with that.
Thank you. Yeah, so that was fun. Well, and it dealt with gnomes.
Yes, and it
dealt
with
gnomes. So that's why I liked it. Yeah.
It even overcame my antipathy for gnomes.
That could be some of the things, right? Even overcame my antipathy for gnomes.
Right.
Says James from GROGTALK.
Yeah, This was so good, it made me forget that gnomes were the central figures in it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's
the
good.
claim for fame.
Exactly.
An adventure about gnomes that even people who hate gnomes can like.
All right, well, let's do our random encounter.
Let's do it. All right, let's find out where we are. So, we got to do, are we doing the dice to see if we're in the Fiend Folio?
Oh, yeah.
Is that right?
Yep, 1 to 3, 4 to 6. So
or Monster Manual 2.
1 to 3 Monster Manual 2, 4 to 6 Fiend Folio. 1 to 3 Monster Manual 2. Fiend Folio.
And it's
which
appropriate.
Appropriate.
Because Daniel Collerton, British.
That's right, British, absolutely.
Let's do it. So let's get a Fiend Folio monster here. Come on.
3. We had last week was the Vortex.
Oh, you're in a dungeon.
Okay.
The Vortex. Yeah,
he didn't survive. And so the Paraton is still champion. Survived 2 weeks.
Yeah, because the Vortex couldn't. I know, because you need somebody that's 4 hit dice or more.
Yeah, 4 hit dice or more. 10. Uh-oh.
Oh, wait. So what's happening? Wait. So
10th level. This is a 10th level monster.
Perryton's going down.
Could be.
This one may be the champ forever. Level 10?
Level 10.
There is such a thing?
There is.
Oh my goodness. There's things like Death Slad. Oh my goodness.
Let's see.
Oh.
53.
A Lamia Noble?
Lamia Noble.
What is that?
That's the...
we just missed Lich. In order 53. We're 1 away from Lich. The other one before that was Iron Golem. Boy, there is Elemental Prince of Evil. 30's Archdevil. This is a random encounter?
Yes.
You're walking along, I guess if you're to the 10th level, down there, that's where they hang out. All right.
Lamia, right? Lamia, right? Correct?
Yeah, Noble. But it says Noble.
That must be, they may be in the Fiend Folio. Because there's just Lamia in here. I don't know. That's interesting. Lamia Noble is the monster.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Can I show this on?
Yeah, sure.
You should. I don't want to get sued.
I'm not going to get sued. This Fiend Folio, it's artistic license.
All right, yeah. There she is in all her glory.
All right.
All right.
So it is a Fiend Folio. Came out of the Fiend Folio.
It is.
Lamia's bad enough.
Of this.
So they are beings that rule other Lamias and the wild, lonely areas they inhabit. They differ from normally in that the Lamia Noble's lower body is that of a giant serpent. The upper body can be male or female. If male, they could be male. They wear short skirts. So we have to decide and have the magic ability. Yeah. So
1, 2, 3.
Doesn't say if there's I guess 50-50.
All right, 1, 2, 3 female. 4, 5, 6 male.
It's a male.
All right, good, because this is a
it's a family show.
It's a family show.
Okay.
I don't even know. I don't even know. Don't I have to know? Don't I need the prereq here? Don't I need to know what a Lamia is? I don't even know what a Lamia. Before I know what a Lamia Noble is, I feel like I need to know what a Lamia is. I don't know what a Lamia is.
There.
So they're very rare. Wow, 9 hit dice.
Yeah.
Lamias prefer to dwell in deserts. So the Perryton is on vacation.
He's on vacation
in the desert, in ruined cities, caves, or the like. Their upper torso, arms, and head resemble a human female, but this one has males. You say
this has male or female. The nobles have. That's right.
Okay. Well, their lower body is that of a beast. Oh, this is like a horse. This is different. It's not a serpent.
Yeah, that one's more of a horse, and this one's this one is only a serpent.
Very fast and powerful, usually armed with daggers. Okay. So Lamia is able to use the following. So, they cast spells. Lamia's touch permanently drains 1 point of wisdom from a victim. Well, that's terrible if you're a cleric. So if you're a cleric and you see Lamia, you just run.
Exactly.
All right.
Well, but apparently this doesn't have this. Well, yeah, it does. The Lamia Noble touch permanently drains 1 point of wisdom from the victim, and when the wisdom drops below 3, the victim will willingly do whatever the Lamia Noble tells him to do.
I love that. So you're just like feeble-minded, whatever.
Yeah, wisdom. You just have no sense. Yeah, you're a teenage boy.
I love it. They first drain their prey of blood and then feast upon the flesh. Feast upon the flesh. I love it.
Feast upon the flesh.
They can speak their alignment tongue. Oh, what a shock. They're chaotic evil. They're not lawful good. I'm shocked.
Should ask Daniel. If feasting upon the flesh is a trait of the person, what alignment would they be?
What is that consistent with? All right. So yeah, Lamias are very strange. So they walk around. This is a very odd thing. It's not a surprise. I don't know anything about this. This is 9 hit dice. I don't know why I would ever counter a Lamia.
Well, the bad thing is Lamia Noble's 10 plus 1 hit dice.
Well, which is weird. There's only 1 appearing Lamia. Why do I need a Noble? What is the Lamia doing? There's only 1 appearing. These things seem to be solitary. Yeah. So what's the Lamia Noble doing? All right, now
ruling over the other ones.
You know what I love about? See, this is what I love about the Brits. in the monster manual, the hair appropriately placed,
That's
covering.
That's right. Though there is a monster in here that
is there?
does show the female anatomy, if I remember correctly.
You know the page exactly.
That's right.
No,
that was in the DMG actually. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That wasn't in here. That was the succubi in the DMG.
Oh.
If I remember correctly.
Irilian is a succubi.
Oh, really?
And all the players knew it. It's like, yes, this tall,
oh, there you go.
beautiful
See, the
woman.
Type 5 demon has that as well.
Yeah.
Some are covered, some are not. So it really depends on the artist.
The tall, beautiful woman comes over and says, "Give me a kiss."
Yeah.
Hey,
slow down.
Slow down. They're veteran players. In the old, because in reality, they'd be like, yeah,
absolutely.
Come here.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly. So, so Russ, apparently, who wrote this illustration, he was of the decision that the hair would be placed to the sides.
Right.
So, all right. So, very rare. One appearing, armor class 6. I'd be interested to know how they differ from the Lamia. They don't seem that much more powerful, but
they're a little bumped up.
Just a little, not much, because the Lamia is 9 hit dice, and this is 10 plus 1. Same. They have the same treasure type.
Yeah.
If I'm killing a Lamia noble, I want more than the same treasure type.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah, doesn't it? One attack. Yeah, it's 1 to 6 instead of 1 to 4. They both have spells. They're all chaotic evil. They're both all high intelligence. So yeah, the question really is, why do we need a Lamia noble? I guess we'll find out. Please tell me I'm not going to turn this page over. Page 59. And it's going to be like...
Nope, it's a great picture of them fighting the Lizard King things.
They're winning. What's wrong with this?
Well, I don't know if they're winning. He just killed one of them. I don't know if he's going to win against the other.
Yeah,
two.
but this is so wrong. Because this is for the Lizard King. The Lizard King should be eating the guy. You should just see like a leg coming out.
We're talking about the Lamia Noble, not that.
The Lizard King illustration?
Someone put in the chat, "Hey, I don't mean to be disruptive and distract." I said, "That's our. You watch your show. That's all we do.
Right?
We sidebar and sidebar."
I know. I feel bad because somebody posted on one of our early ones where they said that no, not that one. I'm talking on the YouTube where they said, "I really appreciate this." It was like first one.
Right.
You stay on point.
Right.
You don't digress.
Right.
And you were just like, "Thanks."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my God, James isn't going to tell him."
No.
It's like off the rails very soon.
We were very disciplined back then. Now
how long can you do that?
Now we don't.
We're doing everything I said not to do. Remember when we first met up to do this? I said,
Right.
"Look, what I want to do is we're going to do a podcast."
Right.
I hate are
Right.
these. I literally said that. What I hate are these podcasts where you tune in and they're just jibber jabbing about whatever.
Right. About their lives, about this and that, and
there we are.
There we are.
Exactly.
Unrepentant.
And it's like we all become our parents, right? We make fun of our parents. We all become our parents. Those black socks and shorts. That makes sense to me.
That's all good.
Right? Okay, these beings have rule over the other Lamias.
Yep.
Okay, listen. Why are you ruling me? I'm going to battle you. You're not that strong.
Well, apparently they have some pretty powerful things.
All right, let me keep going.
That's the problem.
Wild, lonely areas they inhabit. They differ from the normal Lamia in that the Lamia's noble's lower body is that of a giant serpent.
Yes.
Okay, and can be either male or female.
Yep.
If male, they wield short swords and have magical ability at experience levels 1 to 6. Wait, does that mean? What does that mean?
I would assume they're spellcasters from 1 to 6 levels.
Do you randomly roll, or do you get all? Yeah, you roll it. I got you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it would have said 6. In addition to the spells Charm Person, Mirror Image, Suggestion, and Illusion, those with female upper bodies are unarmed and only attack by means of spells. Well, that's sexist.
Yeah,
they don't get a weapon.
Well, they don't fight with weapons. They're better spellcasters in this case.
Oh, thank you. You should keep reading.
Sorry.
However, no, you're right. I should keep reading. However, they are more experienced magically, and so they're so they tend to be, on average, they are 2 to 8 with the spells listed above. Touch permanently drains the wisdom. That's the same as the original one, right? And drops below 3. That's the same, right? The touch and wisdom is the same. Oh, they're able to assume human form. Though intelligent humanoids will always be able to penetrate the sky. That's interesting.
And that's what Vic was saying, is that probably what happened was the Lamia Noble was walking around as a human. The Periton's like, ooh, human heart.
Right.
I need it.
Right.
And swoop down and like, uh-oh.
Well,
now the Heartless is in trouble.
Okay, I agree with that. That's probably what happened.
That makes a lot of sense.
They're able to. Why are intelligent humanoids always able to penetrate the disguise? So intelligent humanoids know that, like, hey, that's not a.
Well, of the 7th level or above, 10% chance per level above 6th, with clerics receiving a flat 15% extra chance.
Oh, I again need to keep reading.
Yeah.
Because it says will always be able to penetrate the disguise, and in disguise attempt to penetrate.
All are able to assume human form, although intelligent humanoids will always be able to penetrate, and is this guy's attempt to penetrate human society? Well, it can't be. When in human form, they'll be recognizable only by humans and demi-humans of the 7th level. That's I read the second paragraph to support the first paragraph. But or else they wouldn't be able to wreak havoc if they all, although intelligent humanoids would always be able to penetrate.
Yeah, that is, so does that not make sense? That parenthetical.
Yes.
It seems to be inconsistent, though intelligent humanoids will always be able to penetrate the disguise. And then, as you correctly point out, it says, when in human form, they will be recognized.
Yeah, it's not the best writing there.
So what would you just ignore the parenthetical?
I would say the parenthetical is described the mechanic in the next paragraph.
Okay, well that takes away always.
Well, always penetrate the disguise if they're high enough level.
Always.
If
you're qualifying always.
If you're 17th level.
I always do this.
That's right.
Wait, why aren't you doing it? Well, no, always if.
If I was 17th level. Yeah, I get it. Throw intelligent humanoids. Well, then the question is humanoids include humans? Because humanoids may not be.
Oh.
Because humanoids, when I think of humanoids, those are gnolls.
Oh, wait, you're right. You're right. No, that's absolutely right. The one down below is humans and demi-humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Humanoids are orcs, goblins.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, so that does make sense. Though intelligent humanoids can always penetrate it. Right. Humans and demi-humans, not always. So there's
something magical about these Lamias that only affect humans and demi-humans, whereas the humanoids, the evil ones, who are intelligent, it doesn't affect them for whatever reason.
Well, maybe it's an evil thing.
Yeah, I guess it's an evil thing.
Hey, what's up?
Down with evil.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, down with the evil side.
The last sentence is the best, though.
Mia nobles are given to outbursts of senseless violence.
This is a signal to the DM of how to use this thing, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
This is like if you're wondering, what do I do with this Lamia? Here's a clue.
That's right. How do I role play? What's my motivation? Senseless violence. Outbursts.
Okay. Yeah, so when your player's like, what? That made no sense. That was so random. Hey,
I'm just playing the guy.
That's what happened.
That's it.
So the only magical abilities of the Lamia are those particular spells. The Lamias get that additional.
Right.
So that's the big
difference. The nobles, yeah. They get
that's what gives them the power. Well, hey, don't mess with me.
Right.
I got mad magical abilities.
Yeah. So this is what's so great about this is now we have to figure out the spell casting. He's a male, so it's 1 to 6.
Oh, that's right. And I'm the Lamia noble.
You are.
All right.
So here it is. Roll high.
1 to 6? Oh yeah, because I'm a man. It would have been better if I was female.
That's a man, baby. 2.
Oh,
so you have level 2 spells. So that means
terrible. Push. Do I even get push?
You can give you you can have push and mending.
We should randomly. We're going to randomly roll them.
Yeah, you get 2 spells.
What did I spend? What did I memorize today?
Well,
we'll find out.
We'll find out. But you also have charm person, mirror image, suggestion, and illusion. So those are your other spells.
Oh, so this is hard. I got to play a spellcaster. I'm not used to playing a magic.
So D30. You're doing a D30.
Yeah, how many do I? What do I get? Is it 2-1?
Yeah, you get 2-1. Yeah, you get
2-1?
2 first level spells. Yeah.
Oh, it's not. 2, and that's it. Do I get a second level?
No, that's 3rd level.
Oh man.
Yeah, you're not that great. You're a man.
Wait, how do I do this one?
Just roll. This is
roll these.
Yeah.
These 2 things.
Yes, please.
Tell me what that is.
4.
Comprehend languages.
Perfect.
That's terrible. Come on.
Sorry.
What? Why would I memorize that today?
Next, because you know a lot of languages, but now you know how to. 28.
Unseen servant.
Oh, unseen servant.
Oh wait, that just gives me that carries my backpack.
Yeah,
right?
That's basically
It's not like something that comes in.
No, that's invisible stalker.
That's not.
No, it's not invisible stalker.
It seemed like too good of a spell for first level. Yeah, I confuse it with invisible
He's more
stalker.
like a butler. Invisible butler is what the idea.
So he can watch me die.
Yeah, that may be the random spell selection just because we're running a little late.
Oh, okay. No, let's get moving. No, that can't be.
All right, so.
But I don't lie. All right,
so you are.
So I have no good spells.
All right, well, pull out the fiend. You're the fiendful.
Vic, tell me what to cast. All right.
Because I'm the Paraton now.
All right.
So
I'm just going to attack. I got tons of. Oh wait, no, my damage is terrible.
It's 1 to 6.
It's not very good.
No, it's gonna be a while.
It's gonna be a while. You guys come back. Go make a sandwich. Dude, run some errands. Go to the store, drop off the dry cleaning, come back.
This may take a bit.
Yeah.
All right. So, so this is all good. We're going to have to... So, yes, the Paraton is flying around and sees the human male walking through near the caves and goes, ooh, there's a human heart. And let Gray me a heart for breakfast. Exactly. So we need to roll for surprise.
Oh, I hope I get surprised. Well, obviously. It's like saying I like pie.
Yeah.
I hope I get surprised. All right, so I'm rolling to see if I was surprised.
That's right.
No, not at all. Yes, two rounds.
2 segments, attacks you get. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on. I'm casting a spell.
All right.
But I know it's the actual, I get it, that it's not like 2 minutes. It's 12 seconds.
Yeah, 12 seconds, yeah. So
right.
enough casting time to do it.
Right, I want to cast a mirror image.
Okay.
So mirror image is 2 segments.
Okay, so you cast it, so what does it say?
How many? I've never understood this very well. The spellcaster causes from 1 to 4 exact duplicates of himself.
Right, so D4.
Wait, but then hold on a second. But no, for each level, to determine the number of images which appear, roll percentile on this and add 1 to the resulting score for each level experience of the magic user.
That doesn't make sense.
We've talked about, I don't know if we talked about this, but it means something, right? I think isn't this additional ones?
Right, so what does it say?
This is a random encounter discussion. Oh, thank you. Yeah, figure it out.
All right, so determine the number of images which appear. Roll percentage dice and add 1 to the resulting score for each level experience. So,
so I think the percentile. So if I'm like 10th, 9th level, I'm going to add 9 to my percentile score.
Yeah. So add 10. Yeah, add 1.
Right.
Right.
And I'm adding 9 to the percentiles. Oh wait, no. I'm almost a level 2 cast. So I'm a level 2 magic.
Again, at some point you're only going to get you're going to get 3 or 4 because the most you can get is 4. You can't get 14 mirror images.
I understand that, but what I can do is I'm adding 2 to this roll.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I've misused that rule, misinterpreted in the past. I've had like 7 mirror images.
Yeah.
Right now, it's fine.
So you have 51 is 3, so you have 4.
58. So then add 2, 60. Same thing.
Well, you add 1 to the resulting score for each level. That's right. So 60. So you have 3.
I have 3.
Yep.
So there's 4 of me.
Yes, 4 of you.
Cool.
That's right. So now it's 4. Now it's initiative.
Yeah. You're in trouble, buddy.
So now I got to remember this. There's 4. There's 3 images.
Are you a person?
No, I'm not a person. I'm a monster.
What do you say? What do you speak? You can't. Don't tell me. Should you tell me? What do you speak?
I speak my own language.
Don't you? Didn't you learn Common?
No, I didn't learn Common. Sorry. Initiative.
All right, let's do it.
You can't comprehend
2.
me. 1.
Yes.
Huh?
All right. This is great.
No, fortunately, you have a short sword, so you can attack.
Oh, that's right.
If you were a female, this wouldn't go anywhere because you wouldn't be able to attack. You'd only be able to cast spells. So
does the short sword, what's the short sword do? Because it's 1 to 6. That's the natural.
Yeah,
so now I'm by weapon, right?
Well, it says males only attack with short swords. Females do not attack at all.
Oh, so the 1 to 6 is a short sword. Well, that's one short sword anyway.
Or you would attack. You would attack and you'd drain wisdom. Remember, that's the thing it does.
Oh, yeah.
But now you can either attack or try to hit to drain wisdom.
I'm going to attack.
Okay, well.
You don't even know what your wisdom is.
That's right. I'd have to figure
What is a person's wisdom? If it's like 4.
Well, you'd have to start with.
But I can't even talk to you. Now I'm hitting you. I can't even talk to you.
Okay, so
right?
he has average intelligence, so I'd have to determine the wisdom.
Oh, no. Average is probably, that would just be like 3 dice 6 probably then, don't you think?
Well, if the way I would rule it is, so intelligence here, right, in the front of the monster man. Mm-hmm. This is good, actually. So average intelligence is 8 to 10. So it's 8, 9, 10. We'd have to roll for that. Then and we're flipping. Then in the monster manual, it has under psionic attacks, back to your psionic thing, because you don't know what the wisdom is.
Oh, it actually has a chart.
You have a chart.
This is very informative.
That's why I'm going through this, because this actually is somewhat useful.
Wait, there's a chart in first edition?
Yes, it figures out if you don't know here. Under intelligence of creature, you come up, if it's average, the wisdom range is 3 to 12.
Yeah, it's a long way away.
Are
you gonna? Well, no, I'm gonna attack.
Okay, good.
Because I don't. It's too risky. I don't know what your wisdom's gonna be. I mean, if it was a 4, it'd be great, right?
Okay, so attack.
All right,
20.
All right, I am. All right, you got your. All right, you got it. Right, I'm at 9 plus. Oh, 10 plus. 10 plus. Right. Come on.
And wait, Paraton is crappy. It's like AC 7 or whatever.
Come on, big money.
15. That's a hit.
Nice.
You do D6.
I love it. Is it a magic short sword? What's the percentage? Is it a magic short sword?
It's not a magic short sword.
What?
Gosh, this is
forever.
This is 5.
We're losing people.
5 years late. Yeah, who is left here watching this? Paraton's 4 hit dice. Periton is 4 hit dice.
Okay.
I gotta open that.
Did we ever do the Peritons that we tried?
We did, but we didn't keep track of it. 6.
Oh, come
6,
on.
7.
Wait, what was this is ridiculous.
3. 22 hit points.
You remember what it was. This is a rip. You didn't like it last time, and this is why you're pretending you don't know.
22 hit points,
You're at
baby.
21, sir.
Oh, 21.
Now.
Yeah,
now.
Yeah, 21. Do we adjudicate that if they, after the combat, do they get all their hit points back? Or they?
Yeah, I think you've rested up.
Okay, so 22.
Don't you think? I don't
right.
think you're like limping along.
Sounds good.
I mean, that would be fun.
So now he attacks you, the Periton. He's +2 to hit. What's your armor class?
Oh, man, not good.
6?
Well, because I don't even wear a shirt.
Hey, you're shirtless. Well, that was your own idea. He needs a 9.
Terrible idea.
5.
Yes!
You missed.
5.
Okay, so now it's initiative. The Periton flies in, gets
Going for that
struck,
heart.
and then comes around, and after a couple rounds...
And don't forget, I got mirror image going.
You do. That's right. I remember that. So a couple... Do you want to cast spells while he's flying around?
Oh, we haven't declared.
Yeah.
Can I keep that roll?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to... Oh, you mean what? Oh! You mean you're going to give me an extra? You're doing that?
Yeah, he's coming around.
Yeah, well, yes.
What are you going to cast?
I'm going to cast an illusion.
Okay.
I'm going to cast an illusion of a...
Do you know what illusion you're casting?
Yes, of a fireball exploding right in front of his flying face.
Is that the actual spell you're casting? What's the spell called?
It's illusion? Yeah, it's just called illusion.
Yeah, what is that?
What is that? Well, that's clearly got to be Phantasmal Force. It's the improved Phantasmal Force, isn't it? There's even better one, isn't there?
I don't even know what illusion is. It doesn't. There's not a spell illusion. There's permanent illusion. Right? Is there an illusion spell? Mirror image illusion? Yeah, you can do 2 illusions at once. True, but there it says in the Fiend Folio that he can cast illusion, but there is no illusion spell. Unless I'm missing.
Oh no, here it is. It's in the original one. Oh. Illusion as a wand. So
is
there a wand of illusion?
Oh jeez.
We're turning and flipping. turning and flipping.
And flipping. Well, that's a good question. So Vic says he can't do 2 illusions at once. Wait,
no. You can't do Phantasmal because you got to concentrate.
Right.
But once Mirror Image is cast, unless I'm wrong, that spell, I've done that, right? It's not like Phantasmal where
I would have been okay with it because then you couldn't cast anything else. If you had Mirror Image, that's all you could do.
That's right. You're done. You just stand there and wait till he finally gets to the real one.
Wait till someone pounds
Coming. All right.
Well,
illusion.
I could be moved off that. I mean, I get his point.
Well, obviously you want to be moved off that. I don't want you to be moved off of that. Okay, what was that? Wand of Orcus?
Wand of Illusion.
Not Wand of
This
Orcus.
generates the audible and visual component, audible, glamour, and phantasmal force. Okay, so it does that.
All right.
The wielder must concentrate on the illusion in order to maintain it, but he may move normally and still do so. So you're gonna try to cast a fireball.
So it's like improved Phantasmal Force.
Yes. Okay.
How do we determine how much of a fireball it is?
Well, no, it's a fireball. And then...
But does it in the amount of... Oh, don't you have different... Oh, that's right. Fireballs are just a set amount of damage, right?
Yes. But first you have to... Well...
Percentage chance.
Right.
Where's that article? I like that article.
No,
he does have average intelligence.
He has average intelligence, and, why would he... I'm just going
Why don't you give him... Why don't you roll his intelligence, and how about an intelligence ability check?
Okay.
Was that fair?
That's fair. That sounds
So he's 8 to 10 on intelligence, right?
If he does that, then I'll give him a chance to disbelieve it. If he doesn't, then he assumes he got hit by a fireball.
If he doesn't make his intelligence check.
Right. He's flying back, and all of a sudden you do some incantations, and this ball of fire shoots at him.
Right. Well, right. Which is not. Look, it wouldn't be crazy because there's 4 of them. Exactly.
That's right. 8. He make it.
Oh wait, no, that's his intelligence. Oh wait, I thought we were doing his intelligence.
That's right. 8.
Oh, I thought you were going to roll what his intelligence was. 8,
He's
9,
8
or
to 10.
I know. I thought
it was at least an 8.
Well, okay, I know. I thought that's what we were doing.
So now he has to make a saving throw. He's going to try to disbelieve. He doesn't disbelieve.
Oh, I like this.
Right, because he's intelligent enough to see.
I gotcha.
Because Phantasmal Force says you have to actively disbelieve it.
I gotcha. So the intelligence check was whether he's even actively disbelieving.
Wait a minute. I don't think you're casting fireball. I think you're trying to be. This is not really a fireball, even though he heard the sound because this is an improved phantasm. So he failed to save. So I'm going to say it's equal to a 10 hit dice fireball.
Wait, but so I thought if he got an 8, doesn't he disbelieve? So he doesn't take any damage?
Because the original let me say it this way. In the text for Phantasmal Force, which is why when we talk about illusionists, it's so powerful, it says you must try to disbelieve, and then that allows you to do a saving throw.
Oh, but and then that'll just simply, so the disbelief. That's right. The disbelief doesn't just automatically.
Right, you have to make a save.
You then have to.
And then everyone who makes a save gives +1 to the other people.
I got it. So if you don't just try to disbelieve, you're done.
You're done.
And if you try to disbelieve, you still have to make a save.
Right. That's why everyone starts. That was the whole thing. I attempt to disbelieve.
It happens all the time in my games. Everything, they see something nasty, I disbelieve.
Well, that's you have to make sure they take a round, and that's what they're doing. Because if they don't, then they accept the damage.
Right, so that's an action for that round to disbelieve.
That's right.
So the Perryton is sort of, well, he's still flying, I said.
Well, we don't know. He's going to roll 10d. You're going to pretend that he did 10d6 of damage.
That's what a fireball is?
Yeah.
It's 10d6.
Well, I'm assuming I'm counting him as a 10 hit dice creature.
But that was my question. So you get a hit dice per. Yeah. Wait, but he's a second level magic user.
Oh, that's true.
I think it would be second level.
Okay.
Don't you think of magic use?
Yeah. Okay.
Because he's second level magic user, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you get a chance to do a save for half damage, though, don't you? As well.
Well, I say he failed the save, so he takes full damage.
Okay. What's your name? 4.
8. So he's taken 9 points of damage. So the problem
he's squawking. He thinks he's like on fire. Does he think
8, right? So
does he think he's on fire?
So that's 9 points. So once he gets down to less than 50%, he won't. Oh, so Vic says to do 66 like a wand.
Oh, it did say like a wand.
Yeah, let's do that.
It said like a wand.
Yeah, let's do that. then I'll give him a save.
You want to move it along?
Yeah, let me. Exactly. Did you figure that out? Have a 10d10.
I think you have a conflict of interest. You're not. Perryton's unhappy. That's a new representative.
So that's 2 4s. 10, 11, 12.
Come on. What?
13. 13. Okay, so
that was terrible. That was like horrible.
I'm going to give him a save now. It's a save for half. So we're acting like fireball. No, he failed. Okay, so because he's taken more than 50 points of his hit points, he's going to need to start potentially descending down.
Oh, so you think he's like going down?
Right, well, because you can only, if you have more than 75%. Now, the rule with flying creatures, which, by the way, that's a future episode. If they're feathered creatures, they're a little more resilient in flying. So I have to look.
He is feathered, isn't he?
He is feathered.
But those feathers are on fire. He thinks those feathers are on
he
fire.
Thinks his
That's got
feathers
to be relevant, right?
That is relevant, but it still comes down to.
So he's like a World War I airplane that's been hit.
Right.
His smoke's coming out.
His smoke is coming out.
He's like looking for the parachute.
He's not happy right now.
Going down.
Let's see, maneuverability, flying. Where is this thing? Movement. Force movement, adventures in the air. Anyway, it says here, I forgot what page it is. Well, hopefully one of our folks is out there who can tell me. Damage. Any winged creature who sustains damage greater than 50% of its hit points will be unable to maintain flight. Any winged creature which sustains more than 75% will not even be able to control its fall. Feathered wings are not as easy to damage, and in flight, they should be given extra hit point value equal to 1/2 their normal hit points. Okay, so for flying purposes, they get 1/2 their hit points, so 31. So this guy has 33 hit points for flying. Welcome to first edition, folks. This is what makes it great. So if you do 3 more points of damage, he will have to land.
You'll be like the chicken.
Yes. Have to land it. Okay.
You'll be running around.
So now it's initiative again.
Okay.
1.
What is it with these one?
Oh, I get to attack.
Someone's unhappy. The gods are unhappy.
Parrotin!
Oh, don't forget to pray to your Perryton deity
yeah,
at some point.
I'm going to have to pray to my Perryton deity. 14, that's a hit.
All right. That's
D6.
for the sword. All right.
1. God, please. 15.
The show that wouldn't end.
He's still flying. Well, I'm going to pray. I'm going to do my divine intervention to the deity.
Commit suicide. Oh, you're praying.
It didn't work.
No, it didn't work.
All right, so you can do any other spells while he's traveling
Comprehend
around?
language?
Okay.
No, I'm not gonna.
Okay,
no.
2 rounds go by.
No, because I've got nothing. Oh, and don't forget that I still have your image if you ever happen to hit.
If I was going to hit.
Because I can't do suggestion on you. I can't speak your language. And charm person, you're not a person.
I'm not a person, exactly.
And the other one was comprehend language, and yeah, I could ask for like somebody to hold my backpack or something.
I'm rolling morale.
No, you're not supposed to flee.
Why can't I?
I'm coming after you. What's your movement?
My movement? You can't catch me. I'm 21.
I thought it was supposed to be a fight to the death. Fine.
All right.
I don't care.
Fine, fight to the death.
No, you're literally a chicken. I want you to roll it. Go, chicken. I'm embarrassed.
Actually, he surrenders.
Oh. Surrender. Okay.
Yeah, he flies down. He says.
Because it's a percentage of whatever?
Yeah, he's morale. He's failed.
Well, it does say here, all right, I'm going to attack you.
Okay.
Obviously.
Roll your attack.
I mean, why would I? Are you just sitting there like a chicken?
I just went like this. Yeah.
Are you still?
I think you hit.
Right?
8? Yeah. 10 hit dice?
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, you hit.
Oh my gosh.
Can't surrender. No, he 4. Well, now he can't fly anymore.
Well, now you got to start fighting again.
Yeah, now I'm fighting, and it's initiative.
I didn't accept your surrender.
That's right. Now he's going to attack next round. Oh.
6.
3.
This is done. I can't believe Vic.
That's a hit.
Bet on the Parrington. 2.
2.
You're down to 2.
Let's see. 6, 7. I have 1 hit point left.
Oh, this is awful.
But I'm going to strike. I'm going to hit once. Yes!
Yeah, 19.
Power of it. I'll teach you, you stupid thing.
The death blow.
4 to 16. Take this. 4, 6.
Yeah, take that.
8. Who do we appreciate? Oh, I don't know if I hit you.
Oh, that's right.
You're number 1.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't. I hit one of your images. You have 2 images now. Son of a biscuit.
Yeah.
All right, now it's initiative.
Here's the death. Oh, initiative. That's right. Sorry, I was going to do the death blow. Oh, 1.
Oh, he's going to get another swing on you.
Go for it.
Eat it. Yes, 14.
That's a hit. Yeah, probably AC 6. Yeah.
AC 6 gets +2 to hit. Now it's 1. Now you're 1 and 2. Ah, now you have 1 image left.
All right, the death blow. Here it goes.
That's it. That
16.
was it.
Let's see. I want to see how much. See how dead you are, chicken.
Okay.
-4.
-4.
I do not bind your wounds. I bind your wounds and kill you again. I keep binding your wounds and I keep killing you.
Well, it's about right. Heartless is only supposed to last 2 times.
I am feasting on your flesh.
You are feasting on my
assume
flesh.
It doesn't say that about the Limia Nova.
I don't think it cares. Yeah, I assume they all feast on flesh.
Right? Yeah.
I think they all want it. He would fly away. Look it up, James. No way Perry would stick around. I cry foul. Well, it is a bird, so.
Yeah, but it's sort of that's the random encounter.
Yeah, it's king of the hill.
It's like a boxing match. You don't like walk out of there.
Yeah, there's no morale.
No.
There's only death.
We have a new king, a new noble.
New king.
New
king
noble.
noble. That's right. New king.
The Limia noble.
You have to name it.
Yeah, well, people can help us out.
Fury.
Fury?
It's because he's right. Spontaneous.
Nick Fury. Senseless violence.
That's right. This was senseless. This was
senseless.
This was completely senseless.
The books don't lie. See, it all turns out the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
That was senseless violence.
He just cut Heartless's head off and is just feasting on the flesh.
I like the name Senseless Violence.
Oh, Senseless Violence? Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm good with it. Senseless Violence. All right.
All right. There's a new noble.
Their new noble, Senseless Violence.
It's having You know what the problem with Parringtons is? They taste like chicken.
They do taste like chicken. That was Vic's joke.
There's a lot of. So that's it. Wow.
That was painful. All right.
You know what I miss?
What? Oh, you missed go. Well, you know,
Go-delicious.
You can run a giant goat again. You just have to roll it.
I know, right? Son of Go-delicious.
That's right. Coming
All
back.
right.
Now we're ready for a random spell.
All right. So we're rolling percentile for the
for 70 or above is a druid. I mean clerical. Nope. Magic user.
Oh, all right. 10. Right.
If you roll that again, it'll be illusionist. No. You.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Nope. It's a magic user.
Okay. Hey, that's fine. No problem. And then now it's 10, right?
Yep. 4.
All right.
That's good.
Is that good? That's not bad.
I'm sure
mid-level.
It's adjudicated rematch.
Ain't gonna be no rematch.
Vic wants rematches. This show is not long enough for Vic.
Ain't gonna be no rematch. Yeah.
You know what? I think at some point we just need, and Vic, I'm sure he would be happy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like once a month, he needs to just do the random encounter. He should be the DM.
Oh, I thought. You know what I thought? It would be fun. Yeah. I thought you were gonna say he would just pick up when we're off the air. We just hand it over to him.
Yeah, that would be
like
good.
the Late Show.
Right.
And he would just keep going like all afternoon.
He would just do random encounters. Oh,
right.
Yeah, right after it.
Yeah.
Random encounters with Vic.
Right, and just endless random encounters.
The Northern Scourge.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I'm sure he'd do that.
All right, so we are level 4 is 24.
So a D12 and a D6 or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So that's 14. Mass Morph.
Mass Morph. Oh, that's good. Oh, he's got his own game to DM then. I love it. Mass Morph. That's a good spell.
I know nothing about Mass Morph.
That's right.
Please be sure.
Perfect. And the weather here in the city of Greyhawk is cloudy. In the land of Ews, not so great. Mass Morph.
So Mass Morph is kind of short. Look, it's an illusion / phantasm. Level 4.
Yep.
When this spell, I know nothing about this. You obviously do. Ooh, it takes a long time to cast. 1 turn.
Yes.
Wow, 1 turn. That's 10 minutes.
It is.
So this is going to be one of those things again, like what did we have last time, where you moved the dirt?
Move Earth, yeah.
Is this kind of similar, kind of that?
Yes.
All right.
That's a fair thing.
When this spell is cast upon willing creatures of man size or smaller, that right off the bat disappoints me. What do you mean willing creatures? So man size or smaller, up to 10 such creatures per level of experience of the magic user can be made to appear as normal trees.
Yep.
Wait, is this the picture? Isn't there a picture with like a guy in trees?
Yes.
Where is that? But that's not this spell.
I think there's a druid version of it.
Oh, okay. Because I see a guy. So I'm making it look like trees. Thus, a company of creatures can be made to appear as a copse, grove, or orchard. Furthermore, these mass-morph creatures can be passed through and even touched by other creatures without revealing the illusion. Pass through? Wait, well, if I walk through a tree, does it seem like I'm going to know it's an illusion? You mean I can walk through this tree?
Let's see. What does it say here?
Or you mean they don't mean literally pass through. They mean like I'm heading through the forest, and I'm just not going to notice. Note, however, that blows.
Yeah, you can pass through. It's right.
Again, I need to keep reading. Note, however, that blows to the creature trees will reveal their nature, as damage will be sustained by the creature struck, and blood will be seen. Creatures mass morph must be within the spell's area of effect. Unwilling creatures are not affected. The spell persists until the caster commands it to cease. Wow, so until it's...
Where is that picture? Because I remember the picture with the trees. Where is that tree picture? I thought it was right there. But yes, that's the same. That is mass morph.
Wait, so if you make me into a tree...
That's the one.
Yeah,
it's on page 97.
Oh, there it is, mass morph.
It's under illusionist.
Why does the illusion... Oh, this spell is the same as the... It's got to be lower level for illusionist, isn't it?
It's the same level.
Oh, that's not right. It is level 4. That's not right. It should be
a spell is the same as...
Boo! I cry foul. Just like Vic. I cry Perryton.
I cry Perryton?
Because it's an illusion spell.
Right.
The illusion should get it at like level 3. It should get it at a sooner level.
What's the difference? Let's see.
Maybe it's a little better.
It only takes 4 segments for the illusionist to cast it, and they don't need any material. They don't need a handful of bark chips.
Oh, any better area effect or range?
Well, what's interesting, the area effect for the magic user is 11 feet by 1 inch, whereas area effect is 1 by 1. I think they meant 1 by 1 per square. I think the area effect is the same. The duration's the same.
Oh, yeah, the 1 is a typo. It should have been
It should have been 2.
11 feet. That's enormous.
Yeah, well...
What's 11 feet? If inches equals 10 feet...
It'd be a little bit bigger then, but that doesn't make any sense.
Well, if it's 11 feet, it's not 11 inches. If it's 11 feet.
Yeah, well, but...
Isn't that enormous?
Well, if you
convert.
I wouldn't convert it then. I would just say that would be feet.
No, it's like moops. That's what it says.
Okay.
It says 11 feet.
If you say so.
I don't say so. It says so.
Yeah, that would be a typo.
So it's the same. So the only difference is no bark.
No bark.
And a quicker casting time.
Quicker cast. You can do it in 4 segments.
That's a rip. Illusionist, it's not fair.
Is that a rip?
It's a rip. Totally.
Okay.
So wait, if I'm a willing creature, I gotta wait for you to either dispel it or someone come along and dispel magic?
If you're in the area of effect.
If I'm the person. So like say, hey, so the magic user, who I don't know is evil. We invite him into the party. He had good references. We didn't know.
That's right.
And he's actually evil. And he says, oh, here, look, guys, so some orcs are coming. Let's turn us into, there's too many. A whole orc army is coming, right? Let me turn you into some tree, a copse.
Yeah.
And so...
Or grove.
Or a grove, or an orchard.
Yes.
Your choice.
Those are your 3 choices.
That's it. And there's a lot of squabbling about which one it should be. And after it's decided, it should be an orchard. Mm-hmm. So I guess I get like apples too?
Sure.
Okay. So then I'm an apple tree.
You appear to be an apple tree, yes.
Okay, how do I unappear to be an apple tree?
You move out of the area of effect.
Oh, I can move.
Yes.
Oh, I'm like a treant. I'm an apple treant? Oh, that's a new carrot monster.
Apple treant? You hit him, apple juice comes out. She said the strangler thing is getting out of hand. Look.
He's still upset about that?
I don't know. He's not going to let it go.
Oh. Well, the Empress Strangler's here.
Yeah, well.
She's shown up. Is she behind you,
Vic? I don't get away. She's in the house. She's in
Vic, she's behind you. Look behind you.
She's in the house.
He's nervous that he's living with the Empress Strangler.
She's like, did you take care of that? No, I didn't. Wait right here.
Yes. Vic just disappearing.
See ya, Vic.
What happened to Vic? So wait a second. Oh, so you think I can still move?
Yeah. It's an illusion. You can do what you want. Now, if you move, you could argue that they would be able to see it.
It's like the trees are all like moving together.
That's right. Because it says here,
okay,
creatures' mass morphs must be within the spell area effect. Unwilling creatures are not affected.
Wait, so you think I can move outside the area? You think?
Because you're made to appear. You don't become them.
Right.
It's not that you're transformed into it. It looks like it.
I got it. Because that would be horrible.
Right.
Because otherwise you're like, hey, help, hello?
That's right.
Like the magic user's killed.
That's right.
Help, we're trees.
Yeah, if it's not dispelled, then you're kind of no. It's like a wall of, basically it's a wall of tree fogs or whatever. Yeah.
So basically, this is for when the orc army, the orc horde is coming.
Right.
The dust is rising.
Yep.
You're just
you can't catch you, or someone's chasing you and they're going to catch
chasing you. That's a good one.
Well, because it affects so many people, you have a caravan, or you have a lot of peasants that you're trying to protect, and you want it because if you're doing this, you could do 70 creatures,
up to 10 per level. Wow.
Right. So,
but don't be a half ogre.
Right.
Right. You can't be taller than man size.
That's right. It has to be man size. So the idea is you're following in a caravan, you're being overtaken by some marauders or whatever, and you want them to pass you by. So you create this mass for it.
So basically, the halfling's like a shrub and a gnome.
That's right. It's all kinds of shrubs and maybe a small, like a half, just the stump, just the stump. It doesn't have the tree
That's
left.
the dwarf.
Yeah, it's
the dwarf is a stump.
And a gnome, of course, is a bush.
A bush, yes.
That the orcs would pee on.
That's true. They'd come through there and they'd just be like it'd be urinating on you.
That's right. Well, that would be fitting for
Don't move.
That's right. You gotta sit there.
Can't take it.
I'm not taking this yet.
I can't do it. Yeah, like it just like. That's right. And so wait. So if you
because they can be touched, but only if they're blows. However, blows to the creature's trees will reveal their natures. Damage will be sustained as creatures struck and blood will.
But so wait. So if you're getting peed on. Would your true nature wouldn't? You gotta you gotta strike it.
Yes, you have to strike because then
you need blood. I think.
Yes,
right?
blood. Well, it says damage would be sustained and by the creature struck and blood would be seen.
Well, let me ask you this: if the orc is relieving himself,
right?
Does the urine, because you're an illusion? Does the urine just seem to now go into the tree?
No, it just
because it's on your body.
No, from the perspective of the orc, the illusion would be he'd be peeing on the tree, and the pee.
Oh, you think the illusion would work? It would look like it's running down the tree.
Short of any blood oozing from it or an attack by the people mass morphed, they would assume that it's just a tree.
Okay.
And thus, if I peed on the tree, I would assume the urine would go down the tree, and it's not going down a gnome.
So when you dispel the illusion, you're just down your pant leg.
That's right. It's just well, in their case, gnomes are small. It's not just down their pant leg. They may want to close their mouth.
Right. That's not
Pro
right.
DM tip: if you're
that's
a gnome,
awful.
Close your mouth.
Would you make them do a save to avoid moving? I mean, because that's you gotta take some willpower. You can say like I'm an orc urine is going in my face. A stream is going in my face. I stand still.
Now you said it's going in their face. That's right. Well, I would do something. Yeah.
I think maybe to hit roll where it is.
Yeah, it's like this bush is moving around.
That'd be good stuff.
Great job, Unicorn. Good to hear. Well, if we can be of any help, please let Temple TOH. What is that?
Isn't this so? We have a new listener.
Town of Hamlet. TOH. Town of Hamlet. What is that?
DMing. What is TOH?
I don't know what TOH is. I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank. I apologize. But yeah, if we can help you, please let us know. We've got lots of nonsense, and we're on every Saturday, plus or minus. Two Maharas.
Oh, we are so embarrassed.
There's nothing nervous about it.
He's
That's
tuning
great.
in. The players should be nervous.
They should be.
Not you.
You can't go wrong. Just kill them.
How can you be nervous as a DM running Tomb of Horrors? This is awesome for you.
Is it a one shot? Because if it's a one shot, just give them the characters.
Aren't they always one shot? I thought Tomb of Horrors is always a one shot.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
No, I mean you mean like pre-gens, right?
Yeah,
I meant more like Tomb
I'm sorry.
PK.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah. If it's a one shot, then you make the characters. Make sure you understand what you're giving them, and you won't have too many issues. It's my son. My son, who's 17 or at that time 16. He ran it for either Gary Gygax Day or something like that.
Right.
He did great, and he killed us. I think I survived with nothing on. So
that's sort of I've never been through Tomb of Horrors, but that's sort of the point, isn't it? You kind of want to die in Tomb of Horrors, don't you? Probably. I mean, that's you expect to die.
Yes,
right?
You expect to die, but you want to get through as much as possible because you can see it.
Yeah.
It's almost like our friend Vic, Keep It Blood Red Falls. You don't expect to win because it's a challenge, but you want to get through it and at least make a good try of it.
Right. And
not do stupid things like climb up a thing and get captured.
Well, that's every episode of Blood Red Falls. That's me. Did you find my character? He's still there, wearing an apron.
There's two. There's
being abused.
a dwarf with you now. My character, when we played, got captured too.
Yeah. So we have a new listener.
Oh, check my Skype. Okay.
We have a new listener, and he tunes in, and we happen to be talking about orcs urinating on a gnome's head
your face.
who's been mass morphed into a bush. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure I understood.
You got that.
The situation. Got it all right.
Here you go. Oh, there it is. This is happening now.
The Emperor Strangler. And you know who's loving this?
That's right.
The Emperor Strangler.
The Emperor
He's
Strangler.
like, yes, we finally got the scourge out of the way.
I need to send that to the Emperor Strangler.
It's not surprising that a scourge and an Emperor Strangler would be attracted to each other, is it?
That is.
You'd think so, right?
Right. If there's a scourge, you want to clear things out. You're a scourge on the nation. And what better way to clear them out is by choking them.
But this is the risk of hanging out with evil people.
Right. They could turn on you.
They're evil.
Yeah. Why did the scorpion sting the frog? Because I'm a
Exactly.
scorpion. That's
It's in my
what I do.
nature.
Exactly.
All right.
All right. So that was good. Wow. We've revealed things. We talked to Daniel Collerton today. Great thing. Hopefully, we definitely need to keep in touch with him to a level that doesn't go into creepy land. So I'll defer that to you to decide.
Wait, you're putting me in charge of staying in touch with Daniel Collerton because you want to avoid it from me looking like a stalker?
Yeah, I think that'll be good.
What could go wrong with this plan?
It's good restraint. It's a good discipline for you.
Right? Because I exhibit such restraint in
Right.
these matters.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But
No, it should probably be you.
Okay.
He's probably going to send you an email or some message like, hey, just don't tell Dan, but could I just communicate with you from now on?
Well, he noticed he didn't. He basically the last few emails was to me.
Yeah, I was kind of cut out of the loop.
I don't know.
Don't take Dan. Yeah, he's, over here, the Brits were a little reserved. Dan's very sort of on too much. He's kind of the loud American.
Yeah. Well, no, you were fine.
I appreciate you saying that. It makes me feel better.
Yeah. So we're on.
I can't breathe.
Yeah.
We're witnessing live
a
live stream death
live strangling.
Of poor Victor.
Wait, she should have had a vine. We need to get her like a vine or something because she's a druid.
Yes, it's strangle. She entangles. Yeah, why are you using your hands there, right? She entangles.
Well, is she gonna still come down here if you're dead next month, Vic? I don't know, but we'd be a little more suspicious. I'm here to DM.
Yeah.
Where's Vic? He's coming later.
Yeah,
he's in the back. He's in the trunk.
He's in the trunk.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
But we're on obviously YouTube. We're on Twitter at GROGTALK. We're on Facebook. Dan runs the Facebook. If you have any questions, info@grogcon.com. If you want to be a patron, appreciate that. There's different tiers. Go to Patreon/GROGTALK. And we got a number of great events. Now we have to roll the thing. This is +3 because Daniel.
You're always adding stuff. You're never subtracting.
Why would we subtract from this session?
Because the dice don't lie. What you're suggesting is that the dice lie. Aren't you suggesting that the dice lie?
They don't lie. We're favoring the dice. We're changing the conditions based on the circumstance. I'll give +2. +2 should be the most.
All right. Oh,
yeah.
8.
8 + 2 is 10. That makes sense.
The Collerton bump.
The Collerton bump. We did that for Martin when he did.
We didn't give it for Vic.
Well, he doesn't need it.
Can we do a negative?
Vic's
-3.
I think he killed us. Didn't he kill us?
He's cursed. He's like a cursed guest.
Well, I think the more you show up, you can't. It's not the novelty factor anymore.
That's true.
I mean, like if he comes on again, it's just +0.
Right. Oh.
Because we're
there. He is again.
Well, he's part of the cast now.
No, he's part of the cast.
He's part of our crew. So
yes.
So next week it'll be right after Thanksgiving.
Hold on, we need to make a roll for Vic. Vic? What do you think Vic's constitution is? He needs to do a resurrection save.
He's pretty stout.
I'd say he's probably like a
15 or 16.
Well, but he's getting in his younger days. He probably had higher.
Oh yeah, that's true. He probably
his age. What is his age? You got to subtract from his con.
Yeah, that's true. Good
Conway. So I'd say he started with a con of
15 or 16.
Did you play sports, Vic?
He did.
He did he? Were you a running back for North Dakota State?
He gets 1 point of constitution subtracted when he's middle-aged.
Oh, you think he's that young?
Well, middle age is 41 to 60. Wow. Yeah. Yes, football.
Vic, are you over 6? Are you 61 or older?
No, he's not. He said he's 51.
Okay, he's 51. So he's middle-aged. So what does he do?
He subtracts 1 point for con. So if he said he was 15 con, he's a 14 con.
He has a point of intelligence and wisdom. Yeah, have you seen any of that?
Well, we didn't know him beforehand.
That's true.
We didn't know him when he was in his 30s. This may be the better version.
Are you saying that Vic couldn't be a cleric or a... That's awful. No, he's very intelligent. He knew something. What did he corrected us on something about where Saxony was. We had no idea.
He corrects us all the time.
We're ones to talk. Yeah. We don't even know where it's Saxony.
We are the she. We're the ones who are hypocrites.
Right. We are. All right. We tease because we love. All right. That's right. So he's mine is 1. So I think we should. Well,
he's a 14.
He's a 14.
Right.
All right. So what is his?
Page 12 of the player's handbook?
Right. He's doing a system. Oh, is it? What is it? Is it system shock? Or is it resurrection?
Resurrection, survival, chance of being
raised from the dead. System shock is like when you're stoned, right?
Yep. 92%.
92%, Vic. This is it.
What?
Oh wait, does he lose his title? Is he dead? Has he been strangled?
He'd be dead forever. Well, he should roll it.
Can you trust this guy?
I can trust Vic.
All right. Vic, Jeannie, is Jeannie there? You got to roll.
Yeah, Jeannie, if you're dead,
you lose your title, Vic. If this happens,
move Vic's corpse out of the way and roll percentage to see if he comes back.
You thought this was all fun and games. This is certainly not fun and games.
That's right.
You joke around about
Though,
this.
if he has money, he could donate some of his estate, and we would give him a posthumous title.
There you go. Yeah,
we're all about giving titles.
Well, or he could do another.
55. He's good. You're back. You're good. But now,
controversial.
Now you have 13.
Let me see if he was telling. Let's see what I would have rolled.
Right, go ahead.
Because I think he's lying. Now he's telling the truth. I think he's telling the truth.
We need a magic 8 ball. Is Vic telling the truth? My sources say
we need
yes.
the 8 ball.
All right.
So Vic has been resurrected. He keeps his title.
Yes.
And
now he has an aversion.
Empress Strangler's like, what happened?
How did he come back?
Yeah, she's like, oh, honey. Yeah, can you imagine that when he walks through the door with like a jug of milk?
Yeah.
And she's like there with the Emperor Strangler.
Emperor Strangler.
That's awkward.
Figuring about strangling people.
Then
I strangled him. Oh, he's back. Yeah, that's awkward. That is awkward.
Let them figure that out. Yeah, it's not our problem.
Well, she should have woodland animals outside saying to her, hey, by the way, that guy you killed is back.
Yeah, see, what's so weird is she loves, like, she's got like Bambi out there that she loves and feeds, and then she's strangling people.
Hey, everyone's got a side thing.
She's complicated.
Well, I think this is a good place to end it. Which, by the way, next week, if we run short, which we probably won't, we need to do a Pixie and Glades. So for our patrons, so I'm just pre-warning you. I know you're thrilled about it, but patrons have asked for it. This is certainly not my calling.
Patrons.
Multiple said they liked it.
All right. Yeah, they like laughing at me.
I don't know if they like laughing at you. So
they should. I would.
So this is awesome. All right. So for Grog Talk, I'm James.
I'm Dan.
Thank you so much for everyone, and we will see you next time on Grog Talk. Take care, guys.